All right, now we're live.
Oh boy. Hello. Mike.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Joe. Joe is back.
Hello, everybody.
We are here for, I guess this is, oh wait, I didn't change the title. Shit. The Cosmic Podcast thing. Episode 6. Joe Tiberi.
Is this the 6th time we've done this? There's no way.
It actually might be.
I don't believe you.
Hang on, I'm going to YouTube. It actually might be. Oh no. Feedback loop. All right, so let me see here. History. So we did like our first like OG convo.
When was that?
God, that was 2018, I think.
Damn, really? Interesting.
2019, excuse me.
Okay.
And then
I don't know if that's better or worse, but cool.
And then about a year later, we did the Telesterion one.
Cool.
Me and Jurg had a few conversations. You came on for...
That's right.
2. So we've done... This is number 5.
That's crazy.
Hell yeah.
Well, it's always a pleasure, man.
Indeed.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course, yeah. We love these talks. These are fun.
Yeah.
All right, so...
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you, how you been? A lot of people want to know how you've been. You released Venator almost a year ago, and yeah, people want to catch up, know how you're doing.
Well, pretty good. I have been like we kind of before we started talking, we were talking about the internet and all that stuff. I kind of backed out a little bit,
Yeah.
and kind of focused on. It was a relief getting the album done. Had to go through a bunch of another thing we were talking about was computers.
Yeah.
Right after that album was done in January. This is a great starting story. Let's start with this.
Sure. Yeah.
So, literally 2-3 days after I rendered everything off for Venator, computer went down, and I thought it was a FireWire issue. I replaced all this stuff, and lo and behold, it was a memory issue. Fixed it, but I was just thinking to myself, if this happened a week earlier, it would have been a disaster. So I got very lucky, and then I took about a month or 2 off, and so I've just been hanging out, kind of got off the internet, picked up some hobbies, trying to, and so far enjoyed the summer. Just kind of returning back to normal things. There's been no good video games besides Dying Light 2, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm just kind of just hanging out, man.
Yeah.
Things are now back in swing. It started in June, so
Okay.
I know with there was some question early on in the year of what the plan was. Lots been going on. Lots been going on with everybody. Melissa's life's changed. Dave's life is 100, like going 100 miles an hour. So it's like it was all quiet on the front after the album was released, and then June I was like, well, if I'm gonna not, I've got the time, let's go. So I started writing, and I will be as far as I'm concerned, I got another release coming for January 1st. So
there you go.
I'm happy about it. I don't have any name. I have no information. I'm still in the writing phase, and we're working on the art. So
Nice.
In due time, as all things come, it's we usually take a few months off and then get back into it. So but now the leaves are starting to change. So that's
Indeed.
always my sign of saying, get your ass to work.
Yeah. Absolutely. Loving the fall weather coming, obviously. No more 90 degrees. Over it.
Man, yeah, like I said, I've always preferred the heat. But it's easier to sleep when it's cold. But damn,
Mm-hmm.
when it's really cold, you know, whenever it's that cold, you always dream of summer. You're like, I can't wait till it's 75, 80.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes, you're like, man, I'm sweating.
Fuck.
So you got to kind of just be happy with the seasons change
Right.
anyways.
Yeah, man. The computer issue is so it's so scary. Like
It's crippling.
it's
When you're, I mean, it's kind of sad to say, but it's like when a whole part of you is unfortunately encased in this machine to a certain degree, and that machine fails, you better be prepared to
Mhm.
you know, in deep deadline areas, I get to the point where I just go buy another hard drive, and
Mhm.
I literally dock it and I back
Mhm.
up everything.
Mhm.
Brand new hard drive that holds an album is like $30.
True. Mm.
So
Nowadays.
you could actually get a flash drive now for $30 that would
Yeah.
hold an entire album. So it's like two is one and one is none. And you know, if the worst case happens, um, which you and I have both discussed has happened to us before, it's like you've at least got somewhere to fall back on
Yeah.
because it is crippling when your rig when your when your part of your life kind of crashes, you know.
Decides to I don't want to work anymore,
Mm.
or killing me slowly.
Yeah, man,
um
it's a bummer because it also messes up your workflow and your speed
yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
your
Your
momentum.
your drive, your the
If you,
carefree,
yeah, like when your plugins are not crashing and your system isn't, you know, blue screening and or you know what I mean, or something random.
a
It's
a
like
popcorn mess.
I've got a weird glitch with my Pro Tools where like if too much MIDI that isn't consolidated into a single track slows the entire session down. It's like eating up memory, but it's not showing the memory usage, and
Like
it's really annoying.
your
So
buffer size kind of thing.
no, no preset change can fix whatever I think it's a
Ugh.
glitch.
Ugh.
So there's a workaround with which only takes a few seconds, but it's like, you know, when you want to get in there and start moving MIDI around, if you don't do it in chunks in this unique way that I have to deal with my rig, it makes the workflow so much slower, and
Hmm.
then that's totally messes up your momentum. So we're at the whims of however computer feels, I suppose.
How do you feel today, computer?
Yeah, for real. Oh, it turned on.
Oh,
It's a good start.
wow. Um, I had one issue. I mean, I still kind of have it. I'm migrating now to Cubase, and I'm not experiencing the issue as much as I did in Reaper. But I noticed in Reaper, the offset for MIDI is like abysmally bad.
What do you
And
mean offset?
so, do you know how some samples for MIDI don't always like start on the beat?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so it's like, in my opinion, worse in Reaper. And I got Cubase maybe a month ago, maybe even less, and something might be built in, and it's not as bad. But that's one thing that really kind of slowed me down. Using Reaper is like, hey, nothing's falling on the beat. Now I'd have to figure it out, -1, -2, -3 for like
Mm.
everything. And some of it was like 80, like -80 or 250.
One of the things that I've discovered is some of these DAWs are so complex and have so many workaround hotkey
Hmm.
options and little settings that like you discover in time or like you just learn whether from like watching a tutorial or just being lucky to see or you just discover these um the your that's what I can't I grew up with Pro Tools.
Hmm.
I went to school on Pro Tools. I work with Pro Tools, every other DAW I'm slow. I know nothing. I'm one. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
you kind of got to pick your DAW and learn it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's like learning a second language in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you find all these tips and little ways of going about, like the way what you explained to me is I would just highlight, hit a quick hotkey, go to a quantize, hit a certain beat, like a 16th note, 8th note, and then try to quantize that MIDI and see if it locks onto
Yeah,
grid.
pull it forward like an 1/8 or 16th and see if.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
tell the computer to take all the MIDI and throw it to the nearest grid
Yeah.
marker.
Yeah. Right.
And then if that sometimes, like for example, with like Superior Drummer 3,
Mm-hmm.
when you record real drums, you can take that real drums and turn it into MIDI.
Yeah.
And then obviously real drums have natural, organic, obvious variations where it's not perfectly on grid.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever when you take that MIDI, everything's kind of swinging. Nothing's like perfect, but you
Mm-hmm.
can take that MIDI, hit a few hotkeys, and lock it on the grid
Mm-hmm.
if the player played
Right.
it tight.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of figuring out your. It's a trip, man. I learn something in Pro Tools like every month. It's
Mm-hmm.
hilarious. It's
Mm-hmm. It's yeah, the mic, like you said, learn a new language. I'm starting to do it, but
Cubase is good though.
I
I've used
I
that a few
like it.
times.
I'm liking it a lot more. Just gotta kind of relearn some things.
Yeah,
Also Kontakt 7 just dropped. I'm looking at it here. Kill me.
bro,
I have to
it's so cheap too.
Yeah.
Did you see it on sale?
Yeah.
And
But now I have to now do the I do multi-timbral Kontakt instances for like my template. So I'll have 16 MIDI and then 16 stereo out. I have to redo that now for Kontakt 7, the for the new virtual instrument. So, and I just yeah, I go I kind of watched it's a composer, he streams on Twitch. His name is Daniel James. He kind of goes that route. He did one of the Metal Gears. He did Black Ops 3. And then if he's done a few other games as well. He's doing a lot of like MMO stuff for like Chinese games right now. But I love him and his content. He's great. And I kind of like that. If you looked at Panspermia, the that template or Prologue, whatever I have, it's that I have 16 MIDI, and then 16 out, stereo outs.
On each of those MIDIs is a different virtual instrument patch.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like my strings are, here's all my strings, and it's one MIDI out, stereo 2. Yeah. So that's how I the route I go with my templates and stuff.
You use a single instance of Kontakt, and then inside that single instance load all the plugins? Okay.
Yeah, because I ran into the issue when I first started. Kontakt eats RAM. And especially when I didn't have a lot of RAM at the time. Like I have 128 now, so I'm pretty okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But when I only had like 1632, you can have like 50 Kontakt instances.
It gets squirrely, man.
Yeah.
It gets big squirrely.
So it's got to be a little resourceful.
I even when my system is stable, I kind of keep mine at 4 to 5 if I have to. Because sometimes I have like a clean guitar patchy thing, and I want to keep that separate from like my strings. And so I'll have 2 different Kontakts. Just sometimes it's more for easy visuals on my end.
Sure.
And you just kind of got to keep an eye on your memory, when you have that much, but it's still, even when you have that much, when you get up to that upper limits, man, it's almost as if the plugins just want to crash you. Like, hey, you know what? You want 10 Kontakts? Nope. Nope. You're going back to desktop. You start over and rethink your decision.
And it's tough now, as well. when companies are making their own player as well. So like I'm a huge fan of Orchestral Tools stuff.
Okay.
Like I have a lot of their libraries, but they use the Sign player now. You could still use Metropolis Arc 1 through 4 and some of their older libraries
Those guys
in
do
Kontakt.
have some cool patches.
Yeah,
I've heard those.
like Hans Zimmer, like
yeah, they're
German.
getting really good now.
Yeah,
they're getting very good now.
But all their new libraries are going straight to Sign, and you have to have Sign. You have to make, now that instance, and Spitfire's the same way,
And you gotta hope that that version is compatible with your version of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you gotta reinstall it. Yep, with the updates. It's a little not as nice as Kontakt when it comes to that regard. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it's
good.
It's true. It can be tough.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it though. It's like Kontakt's good and all. But
yeah, Kontakt's fine. We don't need anything else.
Kontakt is fine. We'll see if anyone can make anything better though. Because maybe they can.
What would that
Hopefully
look like?
they can. Yeah, I mean, geez, what was that company? This was like the first digital strings. It was East West.
East West, the player,
back in the day, man. Some of Conqueror was East West. I think it was East West. I can't remember.
Probably.
Man, they had so many expansion packs back then. But man, when they tried to when Kontakt and similar plugins kind of caught up with them, they're like, use the player, because you used to just use it as a plugin.
Yeah.
And they're like, then they added the player, and then the player everyone abandoned, and then nobody hears from East West anymore. It's like, well,
I mean,
maybe you should.
Early days, just to fuck around. That's what I did the subscriber cloud thing. $30.
Yeah.
Here's everything. It's like, all right, in my opinion, the samples aren't masterful. They're pretty dated, but it's something to start with. This is a very expensive hobby, and job. It's you're
Bills,
not.
bruh.
Yeah, it's like. Yeah. Every year, subscribing to, I've got Plugin Alliance, I got Slate, Kontakt, you got to buy that, every few years, it's like.
What makes me very sad is it's the writings on the wall. Like they're going to try to make everything in this realm subscription
based, yeah.
And it's like, man, can we just not? But
yeah.
They're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. They're not helping.
You're not helping.
They're not helping.
You look at all the subscription services, and at this point, it's the cost of cable.
Bro,
10 years ago.
It's like, just turn it all off. It's cool, guys. There's things to do outside. Yeah, for real. You don't need all of it.
It's crazy, dude. And now they're being like bitchy about sharing accounts. Fuck you,
bro. Make better content.
Yeah,
bro. We can't all just lean on The Witcher in hoping that like they're gonna make good shows again.
Yeah.
Come on. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Subscription. Anyways, let's not bum ourselves out too badly.
Doomer talk. First half, 20 minutes.
Hasn't even started though. Damn. We just bored everyone talking about computer RAM size. Fucking nerds. Nerds.
Just wait. It's gonna get worse. We're just getting started. Let me ask. We'll circle back around to computers, I'm sure. And everything else related with it. One person asked about your art for album art. When you used to do your Unreal renders, I think it was Unreal. Some of the art that you were showing off with the characters and whatnot.
That was the plugin's called Reality.
Okay.
And it was a render inside of Daz 3D.
Okay.
And I dabbled in that kind of as an offshoot, and I really kind of like the 3D stuff blew my mind because I've just been an audio guy my entire life. So when I had to use my brain in 3 dimensions. I was like, it was super cool, but
Right.
I had no idea what I was doing. And it's the story of my life, but like, some of that art anyways, that art was in, yeah, I wasn't, I have no idea. People were talking about Unreal Engine. I just didn't know enough to
Mm-hmm.
pick or choose. You know,
Right.
it was like basic math to me at that point. I
Right.
had to learn that first.
So some people asked, what was the how do you come up with like album art? Um, you said there was a lot of allegory, I believe is the correct term, with the last album, Venator.
Yeah.
In terms of lyrical context, and I'm also assuming the cover art. We I think briefly discussed it when you showed it off. I was like, hey, is it about this? And you're like, sort of.
So like,
Yeah.
there's I know early last year, once the album was done, I was like, all right, guys, I know I even was talking in the Discord about like the lore aspect, and one of the reasons I haven't been active in like talking about it, and putting it, and I know we've done that in the past where I remember one we did that was like 4 hours long or
Mm-hmm.
something, and we went through like the linear, like on paper timeline of all the albums, and it was like, I remember trying to explain it, and I guarantee I haven't really listened to it, but I just know that the lore stuff that's being created on the side of the actual music, whether it's the art, whether it's the covers, whether it's like some of the concept art, stuff like that. It's it's very difficult for me to be able to like perfectly describe without visuals um what I'm seeing, or what like certain songs, like we made, I think it was 2018, we started doing, Ricky and I started making concept art for each song.
Mm-hmm.
um we got about halfway we got through like 3 albums, and then we were like, we had to take a break. um and it was just, it's my attempt to try to explain what's in my head,
Mm-hmm.
um with the tools that I have available. Is it to a T of what I'm thinking? Like, not particularly, but it's all concept art. And
Right.
um I think, my descriptions of like me sitting and actually typing, or even in this pod, because I'm not really much of a storyteller. I don't think I am. Uh and I could just it's it's my brain, when it comes to the lore stuff, is kind of, it's almost become personal in a sense where it's like, I don't really think I need to explain it anymore,
Mm.
because I think it's not in the position, logistically speaking, for me to take. I have no means to take the concept stuff and all the to um at, let's say, an audio visual level, where like the story would have to really mean something, like really mean something in terms of its connectivity to itself. Like,
Mhm.
we got so what I'm trying to say is like the lore has become, and this is really something that I've had to kind of come to grasp with maybe over the last like 6 months, is like, me explaining it right now isn't going to really help. And I do like, he- I do like seeing what people, I know there's a group of our fans that really take the lore. I know you're kind of one of them too. I mean, and that's cool. And it's a reason why I do concept albums. I think it's cool too. Um, I feel if I sit here and I explain each song kind of to a T, and then hope it comes out right, is kind of wasting time on like the experience of enjoying the song for what it is, and maybe what the listener, outside of me, sees and
Mhm.
feels, and what they think. And when I see everybody typing their theories out, I read them, and I think it's interesting, and it's funny because, well, it's not, it's charming in a sense of like nobody got the last album right at all. Like it's and I don't and like nobody got it right.
Fuck.
No, like everybody. I'd have to go through all of everything ever written, which
Right,
would
right.
be like maybe a few hours. And
Yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah.
only a few. Like a lot of theories have been proposed, and there might be a few that are like close, but like there was none of them where I was like, "Damn, they're on to me." No
Right.
one got it, and
Yeah.
part of me feels like part of me wants to be like old Joe and be like, "Well, that just means you're a shitty storyteller, Joe." It's like, well, that's not the supreme context of like what I want to do. It's like the combination of music with a fictional universe that
Hmm.
can kind of be filled. It's like imagine Warhammer is just like this endless universe that kind of can all the gaps can be filled in
Hmm.
as deep as you wanted to if you wanted to be as specific.
Right.
Like if you wanted to get down to like the trench that the fight's starting in versus like the whole world, or zooming all the way back to a world. I I've harped on this before. It's like I feel like if I was too specific with the lore, it would become less um less it would it
I,
would make it less curious for the
yeah,
listener. Like,
I think you're going for like the Socratic method. If you're familiar with that, it's basically like the method of putting the puzzle here, and then it's now up to kind of everybody else to figure it out and piece it together. Would you say that's somewhat accurate?
and you can go even further than that because if I think about like what I as a person as Joe sees in the real world, what you Mike see in the real world i- is is a lot of what artists do is they take what they see in the real world and they funnel it into their art.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And this story is based off of what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling. So like let's not forget like the song and even the art and the story that's being, even if it's kind of blurry, is has to come back to reality in the sense of I'm using characters and circumstances and thought processes and problem solving and questions and all the stuff that are in the lyrics of the story, and those are all questions that I would, outside of specific name, like characters are vessels of movement throughout problems within a universe that's kind of being partially built as the albums come along.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm not James fucking Cameron. Like I don't know how I'm a music dude. I'm a computer dude. Um, I'm just having a good time,
Hmm.
and I think if I get too in the weeds, so to speak, if I was able to put this visually, it'd be a lot. The explanations would be maybe
Lengthy.
better, but it would, but that would if there was substance. I mean, it's crazy too because in my mind, there's situations in, um, if we talk about Progenitor, the album Progenitor, if we're going into the fictional world, that album is like the first half of that album is like 45 minutes of fictional world time.
Hmm.
Um, and then this latter half of that album is like a fast forward like
Yeah,
150
yeah.
years time. So it's like feel that I as listeners and as people that listen to music, just when they listen to that stuff, I want them to kind of make their own, I want them to see their own art in their head to
Hmm.
a degree. Because I can't, this isn't like this isn't a movie. So I kind of got to rely on everyone else's creativity to kind of hopefully strike a similar nerve. And that's why, you know, when I see people talking about or asking questions about lore and stuff like that, it means that their brains, you know,
Activated.
um, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's neat. I'm not mad about it.
Hmm.
But I think I should say that regarding the story, it was like I think I'm past the point of saying like I'm not gonna tell you guys I'm gonna be able to explain this perfectly yet because I'm not
Right.
done. I'm not done with it. I'm
Hmm.
still doing stuff with it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we'll figure it out. We're
Right.
having a good time, hopefully.
Hell yeah. Um, and talking about like the conversation of like art, kind of doubling back to it. Um, I want your thoughts on Midjourney and this AI art stuff because it's really been pretty powerful for like me in
How
terms
long have
of
you known about it?
I've known about it maybe 3 months. I started hearing some things about it, but I've had it for about a little over a month.
Have do you? So I discovered it about maybe a month ago.
Okay.
Um, and then I looked into it because I thought that the whole um, you're almost asking a computer a question, and
Mm-hmm.
then the computer is giving you back a few answers,
Mm-hmm.
and but it's art, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it seems like a fun game to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. It's
It
it's
sounds
fuck
like
gambling. I want to do this.
like I can totally see, you know, my boy Ricky, all the guy who's done like all of our art,
Hmm.
all of our all the covers
Yep.
since I think Xenon
Hmm.
or Empyrean. I don't. It's been a minute. You know, I can see guys like him saying, um, "I'm going to use this as a tool
Yeah. This is concept
to."
tool.
Exactly, and it would be like maybe this can help
Hmm.
start content.
And yeah.
The guys that are gonna fight it are the guys that are gonna lose, and because the thing
Hmm.
is, the analogy for this would be the analog guys
Yeah.
in the 80s saying we're not going digital ever,
Hmm.
and then they all like lost
Bye.
their jobs in the
Yep.
90s.
Right.
So you know, it's what do you guys think was going to happen? Like this, you know, AI is going to do everything eventually, and art's going to be one of them. It's like, okay, well, let's. I kind of think it's neat.
Yeah.
I like how the commands you can take one and then like ask it to do another variation of it. And it's
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
whether whether people do that and be like, okay, we're just going to use this software to make cover art and then we just sell them for $10 online. You could see that being like, well, the graphic designers right now
Yeah.
are sitting back like,
I
don't you guys dare. But I don't we have to ask ourselves, how good is it going to get I think we'll always need the graphic guys,
yeah.
at least for the time being, you know.
I'm not necessarily nuts about people who make digital art and then say, "Oh, I'm selling it now."
Sure.
I'm not nuts about kind of that idea because here's the thing: anybody can fucking do this right now. You just got to pay $10 or $30, and you can literally do this.
Well,
And then you're
here's
gonna charge $50 for I don't necessarily agree with that, but for conceptual storytellers, if
Mhm.
I have an idea, I could see what this computer gives me, and I have a lot of things saved that give me ideas. I got one here. You know,
Yeah,
if
it's
everybody
a
wants to see it.
yeah, sure. The I'm impartial, man. I look at it as it like, well, when you load up a preset on a plugin
Mm-hmm.
for a certain sound, um, you know, how much different is it? I mean, it's I don't know. I think it's cool. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not really. I'm not a. I I wish it was available. I wish I could buy it. I'd
Yeah.
pay $30. Like it should be on Steam.
Yeah.
Like these dudes want to make like $20 billion like in a week. They just put it on Steam for $30.
Yeah.
Because I would just do that all day long and have some stipulation where it's
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, hey, if you want to like own the, there's always gonna be that nonsense. But like, even if even if they were like, you, none of this is copyrightable, and that's part of the terms and conditions
Mm-hmm.
of what you create, then it'd be a fun game.
Yeah.
They'd fill up the the Steam servers would overload with data
Right.
storage problems. Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's a cool
Like
picture.
a fucking computer made that, and I had that image in my mind for months.
And it
And
looks awesome.
yeah, it's great. And
That would take
I've got a
that would
dozen
take
more.
me days to make that.
Yeah.
I'm really bad with Photoshop, that's why. Really bad with Photoshop. You
Like
should see the scribbles I give Ricky. Oh my god. Poor Ricky's such a champ because I'll literally just like take the pencil tool and just scribble and then explain.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
I'll be like, bro, I can't do this.
um
That's
yeah, I
cool.
mean it's
I love
yeah.
the mountains look dope.
Yeah, and I have I think I have like 4 more variations of this image. And they're all so great.
Yeah,
Um
I like it.
I'll send
I
you
think it's cool.
I'll send you one more that's probably my favorite I've gotten here.
What do you think? Do you think there's going to be so inevitably the AI is going to do music then,
So
right?
I'll bring up Daniel James again. He explored this last year, and it's not great yet.
Yeah, but it
It
exists, right?
it does exist, yes.
So it will get great
Well,
eventually.
well, think about it this way. There's plugins and virtual instruments that we have access to. Something
Yeah.
like Scalar 2. Hey, here's every scale imaginable. It'll even suggest you scales and chords. It's like, all right, the job's done. Thanks.
Or the drum loop presets
yeah.
in Spirit Drummer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, dude, that was most advanced for me. Like you think I'm noodling with drums? You fuck. That's so time consuming. MIDI
Yeah, that's
notes for
fair.
drums. Oh man. Barely thing even released.
Bro, that's my favorite part of Pro Tools is I love doing drums by hand. It's my favorite part. It's my favorite part.
Well, that was you started on drums, right? Or like that's like your main thing.
Every demo I have right now has drums on it, which it says a lot. But I'm a rhythm. Oh, that picture's cool.
This is like the best thing I've gotten. Hold on, chat. Give me a second, chat.
It's a lot of water.
There'll be more water. You wait. You just wait. Shit. Where is images?
Yeah, that's a good picture. I like it.
Not add existing, you dummy. Hold on, chat. Oh, there you go,
Is
chat.
there an actual chat? Because I'm just looking at Discord, right?
There's chat on Twitch.
Oh, okay.
Hello, chat on Twitch.
That's cool.
That's all you get. Bye. But yeah, this this AI art stuff, it just kind of feeds my ideas. And you're saying AI music. Yeah, fuck it. Hey, whatever makes my job easier.
I wonder what that's gonna feel like. You know what I mean? And you just put your I want it to be like this,
Uh-huh.
and it gives you like 2 minutes, and you're like, damn.
I would fucking never read that.
Damn. Damn. What do I just sing over it now and sell that? Like, dude, song a day? Come on, get out of here. You know it'll happen. Wait until that band exists where they AI just a song a day.
Hell yeah. SoundCloud artist. Only singles. We only do singles.
Yeah, no albums.
No albums. Fuck. But yeah, we're getting there. Fucking getting there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Let me pull up maybe another Discord or Facebook question here. Take a look. I remember you mentioning you were like, haha, if only you could see what Enyo looked like now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember that. I remember
that. So, talked about the lore stuff, but
yes.
Let me ask this: is Enyo and Alithia, since they're sisters, coming from the same mom and dad, whoever dad is, we're waiting. Right. Is that kind of you're kind of talking about maybe the dichotomy of how two, like twins, like two pretty similar, people can split kind of two ways in terms of emotion and outlook on life for certain situations.
They yeah, I would say that's probably right. If I heard you right, that would mean they're um they're is I guess the simplest way is there's like a good and evil
in
part.
Everyone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand what you mean, and yeah, I would say that's right. To a degree, there's some variation just in the sense of that. Well, the one thing that I'm leaning on in future in just the future in general is that those the conceptions of that Enyo and Alithia character may be getting upended soon. Like there may, I haven't. I like. I've always. There's been a lot of. All right, I apologize for this. There's been a lot of talk about the new Lord of the Rings and the new.
Yeah.
No, I don't care. I
Okay,
haven't. I
okay,
don't care. I
okay,
have no
okay.
stake in this. I
Okay.
really don't care anymore.
Okay.
But
you failed.
Well, I'm bringing it up because your reaction is what scared me. No, so there's the Lord of the Rings, and then there's what's the other one that's out? Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the new Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Right. All right. So, man, why am I talking about these guys?
What? I've forgotten.
I apologize. Hold on. Let me
Yes.
bring that back.
Hmm?
Good and evil, good and evil, good and evil. Yeah, that we were talking about. Oh, got it. I'm back. All right. So in that mid conversation because everyone's talking about both those shows. So they use like the Lord of the Rings is like more of like hero's journey, the heroes win in the end type thing,
Mm-hmm.
and Game of Thrones is very tragic and more like realistic, like people just get the shit end of the stick just because.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've always leaned myself into I grew up in the late 80s and 90s like those like Terminator 2 baby, Aliens, Aliens 2 or is what I always called it, Predator, all those cool dark realistic vibes
Mm-hmm.
are like I always lean towards that. So when I look at this with the Mechina story, I always think of it as like um especially as of recently there's been a lot of tragedy in the last few albums, but I guess that would, if we want to reel it back once again to the songwriting process, I you know I could say I've looked back on the world of the last 2-3 years with tragedy, so I wanted to write about it.
Mm-hmm.
um and it hasn't really changed, so we're still in that vibe for sure.
Good
you
job,
know
world.
Yeah,
Keep it
no, it's
up.
cool. It makes good. It makes for good art, I guess, or it makes it easier to make art.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, the Alithia Enyo thing can be a can be taken that way, but there's this some of the things that I tried to do in the Siege album was give who was obviously the bad person, which was the Enyo character, some kind of um uh well, I did it in Venator too, because at the in the in the last song was actually, God, man, I don't even know my own material.
I
Hold
mean,
on.
dude. I mean,
It becomes a
it's
blur at this point. I
fog
forget
and
the names.
blur. Yeah, yeah.
Hold on a second. I'll-
Is it when virtue meets steel?
yeah.
That one.
So yeah, thank you. The last song.
Yeah.
The bridge of that song is Enyo. And this nobody even came close to catching this one.
So the singing portion is still Enyo?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So there's there's pieces all over. I wouldn't say all over, but like I would have to go through each song and like I that one came to mind, but like there's a real moment where I'm portraying Enyo in a different light than she was, say, in Siege, which was practically just a warlord,
Yeah.
doing warlord shit.
Huh.
So
That changes some things.
yeah,
Chat.
nobody was
Chat.
close. Nobody was close. Uh,
Interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
sacrifice zone. Now that I'm looking at all this, hold on. Praise high. Here,
Praise Hydrus.
I can give you some. I can give you some fill in the blanks
All
while
right.
I'm looking at this. Just
Get
to,
get ready, chat.
all right,
Coming.
it's not going to be a lot.
A
Praise
little
Hydrus,
bit.
sacrifice zone, and totemic
Hmm.
are all on the planet Empyrean,
Okay.
not Acheron. I remember everybody saying that. Totally
Hmm.
not even close. There's only one Titan. There's two Titans on Acheron.
And this is post Xenon or
Oh yeah.
post Xenon. Okay. All right. Chat.
Um, we're the furthest along in the timeline, I believe.
Okay, so Venator is last right now. Okay. That was kind of, we knew it was around Xenon. We don't know if it was pre or
And I do this
post.
to myself, and I apologize to all you guys, man. I'm not sitting here just like with a notebook beating myself up over my timelines because I feel like a there's like a 600-year period in the story. Like there's plenty to talk about.
Mhm.
Like we'll figure it out later. Like um writing 10 songs a year is kind of hard, so I'm doing my best.
I
I'm doing my
imagine.
best. Give me some slack. I'm just hanging out, trying to have fun.
Right.
So yeah, Praise Hydra, Sacrifice Zone, and Totemic are on Empyrean. um when Virtue Meets Steel is actually, all right, this is another one you guys will want. All right, when Virtue Meets
Y'all will want it.
Steel is, this goes back to, look at look at me just being totally not prepared.
I mean, I got this, this stream up fully ready yesterday, so
It's
no
cool.
worries.
My bad. Let me see. Can I just see the lyrics? Man. Okay. I so Here we go. I apologize.
No worries. Thanks everybody for being here as well.
Yeah, I'm typing right now, and I can't do
I'm
both
hacking
things at
in.
once. I'm trying to find my own shit. This is embarrassing as hell. I just want my lyrics. Google, why you gotta be? I'm go All right. All right. So it doesn't care. It just doesn't care. Can
Dang.
I actually gotta say lyrics? Hey, a website I never heard
To
of.
to Bandcamp.
No, not even.
Not
All
even.
right.
Shit.
Let's see. boy, I might. All right, so anyways, I'm backing out real quick. I don't want to linger on this. When Virtue Meets Steel is also connected to another song. I'll get back to you on that.
All right.
If you can remind me, I'll get back to you on that. It's too blurry. My mind's been so. I honestly I haven't really thought about this the last album. I've been
Yeah.
trying to write the new
The
one.
new one, yeah.
So
Well,
my brain's mostly locked on the new stuff, and I'm going back kind of blurred
you
out.
kind of, we talk about computers, you kind of overwrite,
You
the
have
the
yeah
previous project. Other than
yeah.
some of the notes you write, if you can find them, it's like, huh? Like, with, you know, with panspermia, everything that happened with that, we can get into that a little later, but I can't fucking remember half the shit I did.
That's a tricky one. Yeah.
It's and I hate that, but like, and now you got to
I bet
kind of be like on top of it and almost take what you've maybe learned.
Well,
And yeah.
the one I can attest to it definitely being you have to be easier on yourself in the
Yeah.
sense of the one thing I've learned this year by kind of chilling out um just in general was like there's no point like being hard on yourself for like the stuff that's like unfinished.
Mhm.
You gotta give yourself like a little bit of slack because you know there's a lot of pressure especially when you're on your own ass and trying
Mhm.
to you know beat expectations or like whose expectations like whose head are you in your own are you getting too caught up in what people want um it's you know it's taken me 15 years to finally be like listen people are going to say like um I prefer the vocals and the
Mhm.
styles to be
Mhm.
this way.
Mhm.
And then they'll give the exact reasons. And you know what? A lot of them have really good points, but it's not that's not how this works in the sense of like um I can't I did see someone asked if I was ever going to go back to like my Xenon sound
Yeah.
from like and I even if I go back to that style, it's not going to be the same thing. Like this is art is not something that, and it's something that I learned by remixing the Compendium box set
Mhm.
and doing my own kind of offshoot mass version of like all those albums. And I learned a very valuable lesson. It's like just let it go. Like it's cool. Like you did your best. You know, um you're if all you're going to end up doing is bringing yourself down to a point where then you lose what makes you happy,
Mhm.
which for me is like creating stuff has always been a source of it's always been kind of what I've enjoyed to do. So uh if I lost that it would be, you know, you get so hard on yourself that you're like, man, well, you know, people get hard on themselves all about all types of shit and then they quit. They quit
Yeah.
doing what they, you know, they quit a hobby. They people quit all the time. Like I'm gonna quit taking care of myself. I'm gonna quit doing this. I'm quit. And some of it's good, some of it's bad. It's all circumstantial. Everyone's life's different. It's not my place to say.
Yeah.
Um, so, but as going back through and trying to remember how to do your old stuff, it's like it doesn't it won't ever work that way. It's why these reboots and the rebooting everything doesn't
Yeah.
work. It's like they're desperately trying to replicate what everybody loved and they've lost and you lose your soul by doing it because all you're doing is mimicking.
Yeah.
So I find that if I don't I don't that's why I always joke about how I don't know I don't listen to music often anymore, not for fun. I'm working on it too much on my own, where I'm kind of saturated with it. It's cool, but I can't keep up with anything. I'm not chasing anything. I'm doing what feels right, as like I'm doing art stuff, my own. I lock myself in my studio and I write my own stuff,
Yeah.
and that journey is the fun part. And people, if you're too hard on yourself while you're having your fun, well, I couldn't imagine. So
Right.
you got to give yourself a little bit of life's too short, man. It really is. So um, people should only be really frustrated, especially when you're like an artist, is like um I'm not going to say complacency, because that's also circumstantial, but um you always want to try to get better at something. I'm trying to become a better lyric writer in general. I'm trying to, music is cool, but that's if there was a tree branch off of like, okay, I'm gonna write this musical album. Like I'm trying to get better at my words. And so
Yeah.
far, I'm
Yeah.
enjoying the journey, because I think I've done okay, and I've liked what
Mm-hmm.
it's not all shit. So
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be here, hanging out.
Eh, it's a little strange, you say that. Lyrics was the last thing I did, and I struggled immensely until like the last like week off I had with it. It
Okay.
also didn't help that Russia invaded Ukraine, and I had to record vocals that week as well.
Mm.
So people say vocals aren't great, bro. I was crying. It's like the fuck.
Wasn't
Um,
that weird? Wasn't that the weirdest thing? When that when that kicked off, it was like a universal punch in the gut,
yeah, it's
regardless of
like
your
what are we?
opinion.
What year is it? Hello?
No, you even totally trying to be as unbiased as you can. It was like we just went through some pretty crazy years, and now
Nah.
now we've got a land war in Europe.
Yeah.
Like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Like, now is like the worst time. It
Yeah.
was regardless of who the fuck cares on what side. It was it showed the entire world who thought like, oh, only the crazy places are like in the Middle East and stuff, but that, and
Yeah.
in certain parts of Africa that have like warlords and blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden like modern tanks roll over a border. You're like, you gotta be out of your fucking mind.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, we do not need this right now,
Yeah. That
and
was.
nobody needs this right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. It's and sorry if the vocals weren't good. I did my best, but
Yeah.
like it was
Well, you
that was
probably learned a lot.
well. I mean, yeah. Disconnect. I should have disconnected, but I didn't. I mean, I couldn't. I was like, oh, are we gonna die? Fuck. I thought we were
Yeah.
past this.
That kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the internet, is like getting too emotionally invested in things that are completely out of your control.
Yeah, and
You know,
far away. But I'm just trying. I'm thinking
well,
about people, and
well, of course, but it's like, I mean, I don't want to. I'm not downplaying anything, but it's like, as far as like, I didn't. I there's nothing I can do to stop
Mhm.
two foreign countries from fighting each other.
Yeah.
I can't absorb my whole day with it. I have to
Mhm.
kind of focus on like making sure I wake up and take a shower today.
Yeah.
Like, I can still do both, but like it can't break my heart. Because if you do that, you can look anywhere on the planet
Find
and
something.
find heartbreak.
Yeah.
And sometimes, heartbreak is inspiring.
Mhm.
Um, so if you're gonna take a horrible thing and try to make something good, you would be inspired by the events regardless. Do what artists do, and artists write history too, and they talk about the present time.
Mhm.
You know, um, so you got to kind of find the good in. Uh, yeah, I mean, I can if you're down on if you're down on yourself or down emotionally, it's hard to write music for sure.
Right.
I get
Right.
you.
Um, and you know, not trying to do anything now. Like I said, I'm switching dolls and stuff. I think it will require some sort of disconnect. Because it's sort of becoming too much at this point.
Yeah, I feel you.
And I'm not at, well, I'm still invested in
we're all invested whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
It's just there's it kind of I got to harken back to like how much of it is really like what can you really do in the immediate to solve like bigger issues that are like totally out of your hands.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and how much of that is going to absorb your valuable mental time throughout the day. Like you're not getting these days back.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're consumed by something that's out of your control, I have a feeling you might be, and I'm not saying you, I'm just you as in general is like you're kind of wasting your time. Life is too short to crow like the world is what a lot of people are waking up to right now is they forgot that the world is really uninterested in what you think. Because there's like it's a weird time, man. It's hard to explain, but it's you got powers that are playing with fire right now, and it's like I gotta
I'm not interested in like
well,
whatever.
like you can be interested in it, but it's like you can't break your heart to the point where it's like you can't like function.
Yeah.
You got and that's why I always harken back to like use it as inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
All great art are rebel songs.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real shit. So um that's
Don't
everything
let
should
the
be
rebel die.
inspiring.
Don't let the
Well,
rebel
it's like
die.
we should all be real um appreciative that we can still get away with saying what we think.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of places in the world right now that are telling about that, and it's like a lot more than people want to like come to accept.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, you gotta you can address we can say whatever we want.
Indeed.
you know
On a brighter note, someone asked how the
that's cool.
puppies are.
Oh, my puppies are the best. My little one is my little one. I named him Taz, and he is a spaz, but he's 10 months old now.
Aw.
And he's taller than all my other labs.
Aw.
He's gigantic, and
Wow.
but he's now getting to the he's big and he knows it, out of control phase. So he'll just like
Knock shit over.
um big time. Big time. But I love him. He was the best birthday gift I ever got.
Aw, that's cute. My son's here with me. He was cuddling for a bit. Sleeping now.
Dogs are the best, man.
Cats are the best.
I don't know, man.
I love my
I
cat.
don't know about that one.
My cats are great. So I'll just say that.
Listen, there are a lot of good cats out there too, but there's something different about, and I'm even slightly skewed with the dogs. I'm like
Some dogs, yeah.
I like big dogs. Are
Yeah. Way to go. If you get a dog.
just
Yeah.
if you get a dog, like get something that'll be is half the size of you at least, because they're the best.
Yeah.
They're the best. They're so smart.
Mm-hmm.
Little dogs are smart-ish, but big dogs are like I've had German shepherds in the past when I was young, and they're when you hang out with German shepherds, you're like, these things are like thinking different.
Yeah.
they're like
good dogs.
they're really they're one of a kind, and you're like, man, no wonder, no wonder they're used for so much stuff, is because they're like the land dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
They're like super smart.
When I was growing up, I had Newfoundlands. whole bunch. I think we had 4, not at the same time. We had 2 at the most at one time, but
Okay.
but yeah, they're very lovable dogs.
Puppers are the best.
Yeah.
Everyone should get a pupper.
Um.
But yeah, the
Yeah.
puppers are good.
Okay. Good. That's good. Somebody asked one to check in. Somebody also asked here in Twitch, harking back to Compendium. I think you had said at one point, they're saying here, an instrumental release for Compendium. Is that still something that would
I do
come
have
to
that
fruition?
session.
Okay.
I do have that session on one of my old backups. The one reason I haven't addressed it yet is simply due to the sheer size of the session. And
how long
the
does it
way
take to load?
I can't even. It was that project was my personal like Mount Everest. Like I climbed it. I'm never going back though.
Sure.
Because it was that session was 6. It was all the songs ended up in one session.
Right.
Which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And the session length was 6 hours and 40 minutes.
Yep.
And it didn't crash. It was amazing. So, but I'm never doing it like that again. I'm cool. I've got but the thing is, everything that I learned, like people have their opinions on Compendium, and that's cool. I get it. I agree with some of it too. But as an artist, like the amount that doing a project like that was like a boot camp for me.
Sure.
It was like the biggest test of like, okay, like I would tell people like I'm gonna do like a 6-album re-release, and everyone looked at me like and slanted their head like, "You're doing what?"
You're doing
and I was
what?
like, "Yeah," like it was like, "That sounds insane." I'm like, "Yeah, it kind of does." It sounds exciting, and it was
Right.
I learned so much, that made you know, it's like I ran the 10K, and my feet almost fell off. I'm never running one again, but I got
crossed the finish line.
It was good boot camp, and it made me more proficient at what I do. So whether or not, yeah, it was good. I'm happy about it. People still, people still get it, and it's cool. I'm just here to have a good time.
I hear you. Speaking of Compendium, I don't want to like, overstep or anything, but I am curious to why they were pulled off streaming.
The main reason was that it was getting the way I think it was my fault.
Okay.
I haven't looked into it because I don't really give a shit. But I'll take the blame for it. The way that it was the way that it was uploaded into the system for it to be available,
right,
was mislabeled in a way where it was getting them all mixed up in people's playlists.
So like you should have done like Compendium.
I should have, I needed to do something different, and so I saw enough people being like something's up. I noticed that, and I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna make this simple, and just the Compendium can be on Bandcamp or in physical form. It's no big deal. But the streaming, I think a few singles got pulled.
Yeah.
Because of that too. I'll figure it out, guys. It's not a worry. It's all online. Bandcamp's the best. Just go there.
Yeah.
Everything's still there. But
I love with Bandcamp you can some people might not like, but you can just upload the file. Like
it's so easy. It's the best. It's the best of all of them.
You don't have to pull anything. You can just update the file if you need to, which is nice. Yeah, I mean, with streaming, it's a little more tricky.
Do you want to know a secret that I've never told about?
Jesus. Okay.
About Bandcamp.
Okay.
All right. So in 2015 when I released The World We Lost, that long single, I uploaded that to Bandcamp,
Right.
only to discover that what was up was a version with my my brass horn section muted.
Whoa. Okay.
And I immediately ran downstairs, loaded up the session. Lo and behold, that mute button was clicked, and I unclicked it and I re-rendered it.
Oh man.
And I ran upstairs and I re-uploaded it. So there's like probably 50 or 60 people, if I had to guess, that have a version of The World We Lost with like no brass.
Oh, that's funny.
And it'd be funny. And I didn't want to bring it up to anyone because I didn't think it was like, I was like, I panicked.
I mean, yeah.
I was trying to fix the problem. I'm sorry, everyone, but it's whatever.
Oh man.
It was still $1, I think.
I wonder if I heard it.
Man, I'm like, the moment it went live for like 40 minutes, there was one version up that was the one without brass.
That's funny.
Yeah, so it'd be like
Holy
that though.
Shit. That's some deep cut lore.
Yeah.
I might have heard it, honestly, because
you might have.
You know,
it's not everybody bought it. Some people just listened to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So who knows? But I thought it was I thought, since we were talking about Bandcamp, I might as well tell you that story.
And then you could just, update
Bandcamp's
the file.
Great. Yeah. It's and it's quick too. There's no waiting period. It's got a process, and it's like same day.
Streaming
everything else. Yeah, weeks. So
someone asked if there's any funny hidden Easter eggs in Venator.
Funny Easter eggs. If there's any Easter eggs. I should have kept it up. Now I gotta look at the song names. Let me check here. Stand by. Easter eggs. Bro, I would have to go through the lyrics. I don't know. I'm gonna. Nothing's jumping out in the sense of Easter eggs. Once again, there is a lot of cross. A lot of language and terminology that does cross paths across like there are. Man, I'd have to go through the lyrics, but yeah, not that come off. Nothing that comes off the.
Surprise chicken, or what was it? Oh god, what was the Meatwad one?
Oh,
Arise, chicken, right?
Arise.
That's
chicken
right.
Arise. Yep.
That's right. That's right.
Arise, chicken arise.
Oh fuck.
God, throw me back to 2006. Jesus Christ.
I'll tell you.
I love that show.
Yeah.
I don't care what
good old Adult Swim. You know, when I was doing panspermia, you know, I was thinking very differently at the time, and you know, you mentioned not listening to music. I really wasn't. I was really just trying to dissect and study the song, you know, panspermia, and re-listening to it, especially like I said on headphones. You know, that's kind of the pinnacle of hey, is it good or not? How's it sound on my headphones? You know, kind of thing.
Yeah, you were doing your homework. You were you were checking your work, is what I like to call it. You're checking your work.
Right. And I was listening to a lot more conversations, and I actually went back and I listened to all of the Metal Experience interviews with you guys.
Damn.
Yeah, it was like, you know, old school stuff. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I gave them all a listen, to kind of continue the
We'll see
maybe the
what was
positive
going
thought.
on. God, that
Yeah.
was what 2000. That was around that 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I did think it was one 2012. I think it was like the first time 2013. I think.
I think it was in. I think Empyrean up to
2013.
Elisterion. I think when you guys did them.
2018.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2013 to 2018, 19 sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was listening to a lot more conversation. I was trying to, um, I kind of separated almost my brain almost. It's weird, but like, the music listening was just that song. I really didn't listen to much else in 2021.
Okay.
Other than you guys. There were good albums, but I wasn't like
every once in a
binging.
while it's different. Like I know what you mean. I mean, when I say I don't listen to music, that's not completely true. Like I will jam some stuff in the car, or it's 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 just not like I'm not keeping up with every single release. There's so much of it too.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
The saturation.
2020 made a lot of artists.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Only we had AI art then.
don't.
We made it a little easier. That year, a little easier. But yeah, it's weird how like when you get you're really in a creative state, you do kind of, sort of shut down to other things. I know, you had said, you got to take care of yourself and stuff like that. Yeah, that a lot of that fell to the wayside, because the only thing I cared about was trying to do trying to, again, perfect a good product, but not as being as hard on myself because I was enjoying it so much. It was fun.
Sure. Yep. That helps.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that, It's just a little.
It's
little
the one thing.
tidbit.
The one thing. Yeah. It's the first and foremost is sleep. If and diet is secondary to sleep. Like if you don't sleep, man, and you got if you're consumed with anything and you don't sleep, your work, anyone's work suffers.
Sure.
I don't care what anyone says. If that rise and grind 3-4 hours of sleep stuff is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's not good. So, I refuse to go back to my old, I was doing it in 2000. Xenon was like it. Acheron was like it. Progenitor was like it. Embers was like it. Oh boy. Telesterian was like that. And then right around after the box set, I was like, because all of those albums, I would be like up for like 25 hours, just like I got to do all these guitars.
Yeah.
My deadline's this. I fuck sleep. We'll just drink coffee all day. I don't give a fuck. And then you wake up like 2 days into that, and you feel like you are ill.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you go down. Then you got to work on your songs, and you feel ill, and then your work starts to suffer, and then you end up making mistakes that you have to then fix later when you have less time.
Yep.
So there comes a point where you got to like. That's why I think last time we was talking, or it's like you got to also have, when you take something very seriously, I know I don't like to put all my eggs in one basket. You got to have like another hobby, something to get your mind off of it. Because if you don't, like, it consumes you to a point where it's like it starts damaging you as you try to make it better. So it's like at a point you just you'll get tired of it. And a lot of people will quit when the grind gets too hard, but it's really because it's like they're hurting themselves by grinding too hard, and now they're giving up on it because you know. And then, you know, when you suffer and grind through something, you want to have some kind of redemption for that, some kind of success, some light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
And when you put all that pressure on yourself and beat yourself down so much that your expectation of a result backward will make up for that pain and all that extra overload, you're never going to get it because you were too hard on yourself. And then people are like, nobody is good enough, and then they quit.
Right.
They're like, nobody cares. It's like, well, it's like, you know, try to make it easier on yourself. Be less hard on yourself. Give yourself you got to give yourself the room to mess up on purpose, and because, you know, but that comes from a guy who's not like formally trained in music, so to speak. You know, like I've played. I am first instrument I ever learned was drums when I was very little. I played it in school for a short period of time, but I never kept up with it. So, in my perspective, you know, like there's always levels. There's musicians up there that they expect you to know your scales. Like I get that. Like there's levels to everything. Cool. As an artist who's kind of on my own in the sense of like I got to get these songs done and put together. I've got to be a lot more. I've got to be more consistent and disciplined in my time, but I don't have to like. It's okay to take a day off. Like you don't have to work on it every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're not in suits in some office doing, you know, voiceovers where it's like you work all day. I mean, so you gotta, you know, I don't do that whole I'm gonna grind for 6 straight days until I like get dizzy and ill because I haven't eaten in 2 days.
Right.
It's like, for what? Like, some people will be like, your art's better when it's like, yeah, tell that to my stomach and my headaches. You know what I mean? Like, fuck you.
Right.
Like, you go do it then.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Like, this shit's kind of hard. You know?
It can be incredibly painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's by getting more proficient at and more experience, the less painful the procedure is. You know what I mean? That's also a goal, is to be able to write songs without it being super difficult.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And that just comes with time, because nothing's worse than looking at a song that you hate that you've been trying to make better for like days. It's like, ugh.
Months.
Well, you know, that's also very circumstantial.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
that's up to the artist
and the computer.
Yeah,
Lol.
Blue screen.
All right, let me pull up another question here from the community here. A quick second. What games have you been playing lately? That's not a. I don't think that was a question asked here. That's just one I'm asking in general.
I was gonna ask you. Did you buy a 9-string? Have you had one?
Okay, so
you
all right,
did you?
So yes, I did.
Okay.
I bought a 9-string. But I sold it 2 weeks ago. Hear me out. I did not like the EMGs. And Fishman just made 9-string pickups. And my other 2 8s over here. I'll show you. Oh wait, hang on. I have to give me a second. I'm gonna turn this on. Let me see if this works. This might not work actually. Oh no. Is it because I'm using it? It's so lame. Lame sauce. All right. Well, chat, Discord, or excuse me, Twitch can see it. I have this is the revised Agile Chiral 8-string. This got the Fishman Fluence Moderns. This is a spalted maple top.
You're such a nerd. Listen to you go
I
talking
mean,
about the top.
bro, like
Bro.
like,
Look at my maple top, bro. I paid an extra $60 for that, bro. No, I'm
actually
just giving you
true.
shit.
No, you're not wrong.
I know. Ebony fretboards cost way more, even back in the day. I know. Some of these guitars are getting so fucking dope.
Yeah.
They're so cool.
And then here's the first version chiral 8-string headless. This is a poplar burl top with a red burst.
No idea.
They only made one of these, so I scored. Just because it's red, I had to buy it. I'm hoping that Agile makes 9-string updated models with the Fishmans, and then I will buy that.
That's fair. That's cool. I was just curious.
I like the 9-string a lot. I'd planned on doing some covers. More covers, cringe. Anyway, but the 9-string Fishman, or excuse me, EMG 909X, it was just kind of flubby and like muddy.
Okay.
I really like how hot the Fishmans are. Quasar, he's a mutual fan of ours. That's weird to say. But yeah, he picked it up off me. He has that guitar now, so I sold it to him.
Was that 9-string the necklace one? The one with no
the headless one. Yeah, the one I sent to you, and I got the glow in the dark knob for it. It's a great guitar, and it smoked cool. My Kiesel, that was painful, $1,000 guitar I preferred over a $3,000 guitar. So I'm kind of sticking with Agile for right now.
I'm jamming demo riffs right now on my like $400 Agile 7-string.
Yeah.
Just kind of getting an idea, and it's been sitting on a wall. I haven't played it for months, and it's still great. It's holds tune good for the money.
Dude, they do. It's nuts.
It's so weird to me that I remember buying my first 9-string in 2011, because it was like Agile was like the only company that was like, we're gonna try this out. I'm pretty sure.
And I found cheaply.
And then I found it used on eBay. And I bought it in 2011, 2012, and because I actually used it on Empyrean, which is probably why Empyrean was such a kind of sickly sounding at first run album mixing wise, because I had no idea how to mix a 9-string guitar. No idea. This was 2012 when I was writing this. Like,
how many people were doing it? Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of like albums out there with a 9-string that I could be like, I wonder how this sounds. Right. Oh, I could maybe match this tone, or like sometimes you use one as like a starting point of like, oh, okay, this sounds kind of dope. Especially when you change up, when you add that extra string.
Everything. Yeah, the whole
my workhorse 9-string, because I bought a black one that I just bought and put up on my wall, and I don't touch because it's too beautiful. It's fan fret, it's matte black, it's a 9-string Agile. It doesn't even have fingerprints on it really.
Nice.
And then my wood one is the one that I first bought in 2011. That one that's my workhorse. That's the one that goes through that I've recorded every album with that guitar.
That one's got the single neck pickup, which is always a sick look.
Yeah, it's basic. It's got a volume knob,
bridge,
and
excuse me.
Yeah, it's on and off, easy. I don't have to flip with knobs or deal with buzzing because of weird hardware. And I'm getting, my guitar tone is kind of like I'm trying every album. I'm trying, boys. I know. I want it to be better too. I'm figuring it out.
I mean, shit.
It's okay. We'll get better.
Have you picked up any of the neural stuff yet?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I think
man,
the
my,
Gojira might be maybe, I would say maybe the best route, or one of the Fortin ones.
there's some guitar simulated amp rigs that I've heard that are just they're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I'm sticking with my old setup for now is because it's all fun. None of it crashes.
Yeah, yeah.
My whole chain that I've got my kind of tone a little bit figured out is versatile enough for me to still change my tone if I needed to.
And yeah, whatever's easiest, you know.
I know my version of whatever the hell on this PC is not going to be up to date. The rig
Yeah.
I'm running right now is 5-6 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I just leave it at that because I can do albums on it, and it's got all I need. And you know, anyways,
Right.
guitar tone's hard,
Well,
especially when it gets low, man. Things get real weird.
yeah, 9 and 10. I may buy a 10 string, but I don't know, because I could just uh do pitch emulation and just drop a 9 down to G or
I
something.
I have I have one 10 string from Agile.
Mm-hmm.
I I've played with it a little bit. I did some clean guitars on previous albums with it, but it gets so absolutely crazy down low like that.
Yeah.
It's almost I'm pretty sure the 10 is giving you another higher string. That's what it's vibe, because at that point
Mm.
you need like 160 gauge strings
Yeah.
to hold any tone at
Right.
that point.
And
S
with the 160 gauge, I hope you have a 30-inch scale.
Yeah, yeah,
Unfortunately, with the headless ones, they're not 30.
yeah,
So I'm a little,
yeah. The my workhorse wood 9 string is 30-inch scale,
mm-hmm.
and it runs a 140 gauge on the lowest, and it works good.
Oy,
It's a little um
thick, thick.
it's a little some guys who are the guys that fix the guitars, you know,
Tex.
the yeah, the guys that really know like how to set up guitars would probably look at it and be like, what the hell is
Yeah,
this?
yeah, yeah.
And I'm gonna be like, listen,
Just
I
make
got
it good.
yeah, I you know, it was the 9 string and the Agiles have 2 truss rods
Mm.
down the neck. And
Mm.
what I found out was I was getting a was that a negative bow where it dips down?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I popped the little cap off, and I put a wrench in there, and the tension that because the first 3 or 4 strings of my 9 string are actually bass strings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
And the amount of tension that it pulled on that side of the fret,
Mm.
that truss rod was loose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now
So I
you had to adjust or modify the ball end, right? Because a bass string ball end is
Yep,
larger than a guitar,
yep,
and that's a struggle that anyone having a headless might have,
yep.
because they're a little
I have
yeah.
one where the little ball at the end is kind of like sticking out the back,
Out the back, yeah, yeah,
kind of janky. I'll admit it. I don't give a fuck what people think.
yeah.
It stays in key. I don't care.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I'm very pragmatic with, like I like I have always said, I look at guitar like a tool.
Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
not my instrument, anymore. It's what I kind of started the band with as the guitar player, but I don't look at it like that anymore.
Um, talking about guitar tone, this is something I was, studying for a few years now, and I'm convinced 80% of like a decent tone is your IR. And I've been really experimenting with IRs the last,
And that
year,
would
two
be in your
years.
that would be your cabinet chain, so to
Correct.
speak. Yeah.
So with the neural stuff, you could pop a left and a right IR in, but there's stuff like Libra IR where you can have like 8 and then blend
Whoa.
them. Yeah, it's
Okay.
nuts. You can change the resonance and the high pass and low pass,
Yep.
um, phase, mono stereo shit like that. But I've really been researching and just experimenting with IR stuff. I literally have a folder here. How big is this folder of IRs? It is.
Be careful with that, Mike. When you
I
have too many
I have
plugins,
7 gigs worth of IRs.
those things are like kilobytes, my dude. What the hell are you looking for? See, this is what happens. It's something that I learned a lot about, like writing albums. Is like when you have a lot of stuff like that, you get so caught up
It's too
in
much.
like getting you want to go to the next patch. Just hope it's you get that little gambling. Like the next patch is going to be better. The
Yeah.
next patch, and then you've wasted 2 weeks looking for a patch that you're going to just change at the end. That goes back to the find something that works, get started, and then tweak it at the end, but settle for that's a lot of impulse responses.
I will
you
say
have an addiction.
No, you're not right. You're not wrong. I do have a folder that's like IRs I like, that I pulled out, and there's definitely ones that
I'm not downplaying the fact. I'm not. I'm impressed. I'm not disappointed.
I think the biggest culprit is Ownhammer IRs, where they just give you, you've got, mono 44, 441, 480, 48. What is it? 82, 96 hertz, and then you've get custom mixes, single mixes, blends, and then there's 15 extra folders where it's just like here's them blended with these mics and all this other stuff. So when it's just large because there's so much of a sample pool.
I mean, the cool thing with that too is you'll always have, when you have a lot of stuff, you'll have endless inspiration if you look at it properly. You can be like, let me start with this. There's libraries that I get of orchestra stuff, and they've got like miscellaneous folders in there where they give you like sound pads and stuff that you usually would just pass over if you're not looking for that stuff. But sometimes when you're like, wonder what's in here.
Yeah.
And then you kind of just play around with it. You're like, well, this is kind of cool. And then you just run with it. You just run with it.
Right.
So it's a good and bad thing. Like everything.
Speaking of samples, have you picked up anything recently?
No, after the crash, after my system has been down, having memory issues.
Yeah.
I'm planning on building a whole separate computer rig.
Is this going to be like a slave PC?
This will eventually become my backup computer.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Because it's now stable. I don't need anything right now. I know I'm missing out on a bunch of new shit. But for the time being, I want to build a whole separate rig and then have like a current build, because this old build is like still running on like Windows 7. No joke.
Yeah. Fucking 11's out, shit.
Yeah, dude, and it's like it's the 64-bit, so it gives you all the memory you want. Everything works. It's got an i7, and then it's cool. It's fine. But man, when it goes down, like you were saying, I don't got time for that. So, these plugins, I've kind of steered away from looking at all of them because I know I'm gonna be like, oh man, that sounds
I'm missing.
dope.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds great. I wish
Yeah.
But I was like, is it really worth? For example, I already have one plugin that I spent $400 or $500 on. It was Omnisphere.
Yeah, dude,
it runs like total shit on my setup. Total shit, and it's so bad I don't even use it.
Isn't that unfortunate?
You just kind of suck it up to like, well, that's life. But it's Omnisphere. The first Omnisphere used to run flawless. It was amazing. Everything was great. And then it was on. Then they had like key thing, or keys.
Was it iLock? Is it tied to iLock?
Now it is, yeah.
Now it is, yeah.
And then they had like the pack with like the keyscape, I think is what it's called, and stuff like that, and it just doesn't work. So I don't use it. So I kind of was like, you know what? Chances are that's going to happen again, and $400 or $500 is still kind of like
That's steep
you
for
don't wanna,
yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ, like for
yeah,
a synth, I get it's like an
yeah.
open source synth idea, great. But you know what? You can get Dune 3 for like $120. Zebra,
I mean, if you like,
Hive, yeah,
I totally get the fascination with I mean, I wish I had a faster, more up to date computer with even more stuff. That'd be great. But you gotta within your means.
right.
So I've bought Sonokinetic stuff, which is like $500. I've 8Dio. I have a bunch
Yeah,
of their stuff, and their stuff, even on sale, can get pricey.
yeah.
That Lacrimosa and that Majestica was not cheap. You know. Um, Superior Drummer 3 is what I use, and it runs pretty freaking good.
Yep,
And
yep.
I paid like $6,000 for that because I bought like every expansion that
Mm-hmm.
they had because I
Yeah.
was like, it was one of their Black Fridays. I was like, give
Fuck
me
it.
all. I don't actually think it was $6,000. It was probably
Maybe
I
like
might be over
2.
exaggerating.
Maybe
No,
2.
it was definitely more than two
Okay.
because
Did you do the
it
easy expansions as well as the
yeah.
SDX? Okay,
Yeah, I
yeah,
got like
yeah.
all the metal
Everything.
ones. I got like
Yeah,
all the metal ones because
yeah,
I was like I might as well get it now because they were like half off, but it was
yeah.
like whatever. But
I'll suggest. Have you heard of Toman, the website?
no, I haven't.
Okay, so Toman has all of the tone track stuff, but cheaper. So I don't know
Oh,
if you want to. I know there's some newer things coming out. If you want to add on to it,
when
but you can get them cheaper.
yeah when I get my second computer,
Mhm.
I'll get all the cool stuff. But yeah, it's
Mhm.
I'm kind of just
Chilling.
yeah after the crash after this year with the memory, I was like, man,
I don't want to do it anymore.
I don't want to touch this thing.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
wanna touch this thing.
the new AMD processors just came out, and that's kind of those are the kind of processors I think I'm gonna hang out with for a bit. I think I have the 5950X and the 7000 series just came out from them, and the 7950X is I think about a 30% improvement over the one I have from what I saw. So if you if you're planning on doing your new build, if you want to go Intel or AMD, there's whatever you get, you'll be probably it'll be night and day.
Oh, I mean, because right now I'm on my gaming rig, which is like a totally different setup than
Hmm.
my recording rig.
Yeah.
It's this thing's maybe 3 years old.
Hmm.
It's got a 1080 in it. You know,
4000s or series cards are coming out. Fuck.
yeah. I mean, but it's still holding its own.
Yeah.
And it's worked pretty okay. But I mean, everybody who's into computers knows the last few years hasn't been particularly nice
Rough.
on
Yep.
us
Yep.
for building our own stuff. So
Indeed.
I've been just kind of hanging back, having
Right.
a good time.
One thing to kind of close out in terms of sample stuff, I'm gonna keep praising Zero G. They have
Yeah,
this new Elements cinematic rhythms and the Elements scoring synth. They're incredible.
Zero G. Zero G does make some really cool stuff.
Indeed.
They've made some really cool sci-fi stuff too.
Yeah. Little ambient, effects,
Yeah,
stuff
they
like
had
that.
one where it was all like machine sounds and stuff. It's
Hmm.
great. It's like everything you'd ever want.
You mentioned Sonokinetic as well. I picked up Carpiccio and Maximo over the last few
Yes.
years. And
The tricky sons of bitches, aren't they?
well, yeah, sometimes the triads aren't 100% right. But I get like the phrase based libraries,
Yeah,
where
I feel you.
they can help you initiate an idea, even if it's just the trumpet. You don't even use like the other French horn or the tuba.
Yeah,
You
it's
just boop, boop,
they
boop,
give
boop,
you
boop.
some
Yeah,
they give you
yeah,
some good rhythms to play with for
right.
sure. And sometimes you just kind of figure out, depending on how they've key switched it, how to kind of do a multi melody like section where
Hmm.
you kind of like hit the key. Sometimes I just will write them in at that point. I'll play it, jank it up, and then just fix my notes real quick.
Right.
Because,
Into the MIDI.
Into the MIDI you go.
Indeed. And also, going back to guitars, just waiting for Agile to release 9-string. Hopefully with the Fishmans. I'm thinking they might do it towards Christmas time. We'll see. But yeah,
I haven't looked at their site often. Not recently.
I have it up all the time. Yeah, I'm just checking.
They the cool thing with that site is like some one-offs will just show up one day, and what's cool is whatever's like really unique. Whatever's on the website is actually in stock. Unless it's like one of those build your own setups that they used to do. I don't know if they do that anymore.
They don't. I wish they did.
Yeah, I wish. They stopped that. I think a few years ago. But yeah, that was crazy. You could build like your own custom crazy shit for like $1,200. It was
I wish. But yeah, the two I have here, they're one-offs. They only made one of them.
Yeah, it's they don't really do runs of like styles. They'll just kind of make them, one by one, which is kind of neat.
So I scored with these two. Let me check. Before we talked about guitars, I was gonna ask what games you've been up on lately.
Oh, that's right. So I've been playing recently. There's a early access game on PC and on Steam called Furthest Frontier, which is like a city builder game.
Okay.
And I've always loved those games because they're great. They're kind of relaxing.
Sure.
And sometimes I like throw a podcast on and then play one of those. So I've just been kind of just building fake cities and starving to death in winter, stuff like that. It's a good game. It's not bad. Right. Early in the year, I think Dying Light 2 came out, and that game was great. I didn't beat it because it's so intense that it was actually kind of making me a little dizzy, which sounds kind of like a bitch cop out, but it was like in 4K when it's like really rip roaring, and I can only imagine what it looks like on higher end systems. That game really is intense.
Yeah.
And I had to take I played through it, got about probably halfway through it, and then I took a break, and then they started patching it a bunch, which was cool because I like when they do that, because then when you go back, you get to kind of play like how they fixed it.
Sure.
The game actually came out relatively stable, which says a lot nowadays, considering how a lot of games come out. So Dying Light 2 has definitely got my 10 out of 10. I've been waiting for that game for years, man.
Hell yeah.
And it was good. Other than that, I tried Escape from Tarkov again and then just uninstalled it again. Every time I try to get into that, I just don't care. I don't care. It's not. You guys are psychos.
Ooh,
Everyone who plays that game is. Everybody who plays that game is a psycho masochist, and I respect you, and I mean you no harm because you guys are psychos. Because it's
goodbye.
Here's the thing. Escape from Tarkov would be, I would play that game endlessly if they could just have a single player game. If I could just run through and play the same game just by myself against like the computer.
Right.
I would play that game endlessly because it's a fantastic game. It's the best shooter ever made as far as I'm concerned. It's the most detailed. I respect the hell out of that game. It's so brutal. Like, you have to spend all day to get a single win unless you're like hanging out and you have a bunch of friends.
Yeah, right.
Because it's not like when it was in beta, when you had to like buy into it. Like, you're running into like squad. It's parts of Escape from Tarkov is almost become like the dark zones in the Division.
Sure.
Where it's like you're getting run up by not one dude, not two dudes, not even three dudes, sometimes four dudes.
Right.
And guess what? Your chances
win.
of winning that is
low.
I respect the game, but it's just it's too much.
Yeah.
And right now it's one of those games that in my opinion, because I've got a weird setup. I've got a 4K TV hooked up to a 1080, and it can run 4K, but you can tell when some games have been really optimized for 4K and some games that are totally not optimized for 4K unless you've got like a ton of juice. And because that game is so technical, I have this weird like setup situation where it's like I can't really win in that right now because there's like this it might be like what do they call it, refresh rate issue.
Yeah.
You know, because that game's so realistic that those milliseconds actually do matter. And my rig kind of is like I just kept losing. And I was like, you know what? I'm moving on with my life. Uninstall. I'm like, if they give me a single player, I'll reinstall it and I'll play the hell out of it. But until that day, I'm just gonna move on with my life.
Right. Sounds like it's for the best.
Man, I wish I could love it more because I appreciate what they're doing. But
you mentioned Furthest Frontier. Somebody asked, "Did you build the Just City?"
Boo. Boo this, man. Surprisingly enough, I abandon every city and start over every gameplay because it's an early access game, so they're like fixing and adding stuff. And I like those games because by getting to a point and restarting, you start to learn the rhythms of the game, and then you start to like get really efficient, and then you have to just outlast the disasters that happen. But the game's not that far along, so no, I usually just abandon the cities and start over.
I picked up Jurassic World 2.
Yeah.
That's a huge improvement to the base game.
I saw it on sale and I almost bought it, but then I watched a review and they said this is what everyone said this is what like the first one should have been.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
So I might pick that up because that game, the first one, I actually liked the first one. I didn't.
You will.
It wasn't that bad.
It sucks that you have to like redo everything and like unlock everything again, but like you can like customize buildings now, like colors and like its foundation, and it's just a better park, building experience. You can add props and
they
buildings,
realized Roller Coaster Tycoon had it right the whole time.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, damn.
Those nerds were right.
And I think they're almost at 100 dinosaurs now, and you have birds and or like pterodactyls.
I saw like the bubbles and stuff, like where you can hold the inside. Yeah, it's cool.
And they got the aquatic ones too.
Oh God.
Yeah, so Mosasaurus coming out of the water.
Listen, I will pay $19.99 for that game when it's on sale.
Yeah, just give it maybe another few months or
the holiday sale. The Steam sales are coming up, and
yep.
I'll just wait for that.
Yeah, but definitely pick it up. I would suggest it.
I will.
Trying to think if there's I play Apex. Boo, but
you're a nerd.
Yeah. It's the only Royale game I'll play. Also because I love the Titanfall, so it's the same people.
Titanfall 2 was a fantastic game.
Yeah, I wish we'd get another. I would love another.
Yeah. Didn't they try that with Anthem?
Boo. Trash, boo. Trash, dude. God, what a disaster.
Man, that intro cutscene looked good though, didn't it?
And speaking of bad games, sorry, chat. Destiny finally got plot after 8 years.
What does that mean?
They added like the villain of like the last 2 games.
Oh.
So like this alien head looking people, like white big eyes, they're like the darkness, they are now here and they have triangles.
They're like the end game baddies.
Sorta, yeah.
Okay.
And now they're, new DLC coming out next year.
Oh, Jesus. They're going to just keep making them.
Yeah. And did you hear they vaulted like 2 or 3 expansions? They just removed them. What are you doing?
It sounds like you're taking this personal.
Well, I mean, listen.
I'm just saying.
I wanted this game to be the game, but Bungie fucking failed.
Go on.
Fucking failed. And cash grabbed. I don't want to pay, I pay enough for things. I don't want to pay, seasonally for games, for content, when the content's not good.
Man, World of Warcraft was right too. Fuck. Damn. Was it really the best in 2010? Damn. I don't know.
Destiny could have owned the world.
Bro, I don't know.
Disney fans are fuming. Fight me, bro.
Open seas, my dudes.
Well, here's the other thing, because, obviously Bungie, Halo and stuff, I thought there was going to be, like a theater mode and, all this other stuff. I wanted to do, a machinima, with my friends when I was younger in, the Destiny universe, because I was like, oh, this is going to be so fucking lore-heavy. It's going to be like Mass Effect, the whole, codex in the game.
Labs and Warhammer.
Yeah. And, hello, what is this? A 4-year-old could have wrote the story for this. Sorry.
It's yeah, there's been a weird lull in it's if anything, the independent, low budget games are going for they're going for it, and they're actually doing a pretty good job.
Indeed.
These AAAs are they've lost the plot, and I only bought Battlefield 5 because it was like $4.99.
Oh my god, what a disaster, dude.
Bro, and guess what? I played through the whole thing, and I was embarrassed.
How abysmal.
And you know what? I everybody smelt it in Battlefield 1 with their campaign. When you're 40-minute campaigns and there's 4 of them. You're telling me the campaign's 2 hours long, 3 hours long. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Battlefield 4's campaign took when you play it kind of slow and at your own pace, took 20 hours. You got your money's worth.
Yeah.
Battlefield 5 was just okay, this was just bad. And then the new Battlefield I have not bought because I know better.
Yeah, at this point.
Yeah, I know better.
Yeah.
Battlefield 4 hardcore servers was never got any better.
Peak content.
That was the peak Battlefield was Battlefield 4. And you could fight me on that too.
I don't disagree. I do play Battlefield 1's
Battlefield
multiplayer.
1's a beautiful game.
Oh yeah. In World War I, it's cool,
It wasn't a bad Battlefield, but they were trying. When they brought that new interface in with Battlefield 1. Remember the old interface with Battlefield 3 and 4?
Yeah,
it was like a web page server to get on the. Yeah. It was awesome. You could just find whatever you look, and then Battlefield 1 brought this new weird.
You could switch games.
Yeah, and
there. Yeah.
Nobody asked for this. Nobody. And then they did it. And then all of a sudden the campaigns were tutorials for the multiplayer. And it was a little on the nose, and then it's now obvious. Right. And some of us want to play good campaigns.
Right.
This multiplayer shit, because I reinstalled Battlefield 4. I was there's got to be some Koreans that still play
Yeah, there's still
Battlefield
people in
4,
there. Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I go back and I search for the hardcore servers, which is like no HUD, 200% damage. It's
Mm-hmm.
like
One shot.
it's like it's the way I like to play.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And but none of those servers,
Are
they're
full.
all empty.
Yeah, they're empty.
And it makes me so sad. I was like, where did everyone go? I was like, why are we not playing
They're
this
playing
still?
Destiny. No.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks. I can't have fun anymore in
Can't have
Battlefield
fun
4.
anymore. No, you got to buy the new one where you shoot them, you empty a clip into them, and they don't die.
I can't stand it. I don't care.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, you mentioned like indie games and stuff. There's a bunch of like little developers. What's the one game called? Final Frontier? Let me try and find it here. It reminds me so much of like The Expanse, and I cannot wait for this game. I think it's like one guy. Like, honestly.
Do you think the Bethesda Star or whatever
Starfield.
game, Starfield? What do you think?
Oh man.
You want it to be good, don't you?
Sure, of course I do. But
Yeah.
I know it probably won't be. We'll talk
think-
about. We
you
can
think?
talk about. No, I
think so?
don't. No, yeah, no.
See how confused?
Bethesda has not.
This is what Fallout 76 did to everybody.
Right. I don't trust them.
They made everyone who loved Fallout 4 question their intent, and it looks so awesome. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
All that fake video, pre-rendered video they showed looks so good,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like
I can't trust them anymore.
man, it's big sus. I don't pre-order nothing anymore.
Yeah, I
I'm
can't.
like you can't bribe me with extra shit.
It's like it's not so hard to ask that things work, and when things don't work is when I get annoyed. And
especially when you've got so much resources available.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? When you think about
like what's going on.
yeah, like you would expect the hiccups that the AAA guys have to be in the indie games.
Yeah.
And vice versa because of the scale of like, well, these guys have 1,000 people working on this game versus 3 people. Now you could say that's probably why some games suck is because there's 1,000 people
Too many
working on it
people,
versus
yeah.
3.
Right.
But those are 2 different types of, we don't have to go there. It's all good.
They're saying, what was it, 100 systems? Great. I want it to be good. Will it be good? Probably not. Star Citizen, we could talk about that. I can't even open the game right now. Like, the launcher doesn't fucking work. For me, at least. I know it works for others, but I'm not reinstalling, Star Citizen. It's like 100 gigs. I don't want to reinstall it.
Bro,
I shouldn't have to.
I feel your pain. I still have my $30 ship that I bought, so it's kind of like I'll wait till they say that the game's done, and if I reinstall it and it doesn't work, then you just eat the loss and be like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
But I am holding out for Star Citizen. I hope I'm just being optimistic. I hope that game actually gets finished and has a purpose.
Yeah.
And they need to do it. They have to do it soon because they're gonna get surpassed. Pretty damn soon. Like
if Starfield's good, that's an embarrassment on them.
I mean, these video cards are getting dangerously powerful, and so these video games that are going to start coming out are going to start really and that's why I was kind of the same with like Dying Light 2. It was like it wasn't like it was so hyper realistic that it was more or less the motions. The realism is getting really.
Well, here's what'll be next. It'll be your VR headset. Hey, I'm powering my VR headset. That's probably gonna. Hey, the 5000 series, you're just in the game now, it's like, all right.
Put this vest on.
Yeah, put this vest on.
You want to play Battlefield, huh? I don't want to play Battlefield. I don't want to play Battlefield.
Fuck, dude. I mean, we're going to get there.
Yeah, we'll
Whether
see.
it sticks around or not, that's the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a whole nother, conversation.
Mhm.
But oh yeah, I was looking up that one game. See, I have it on wish listed. There's one game, Broken Arrow. It's like a modern RTS, with like
Hmm.
America and like all the other countries, and they do something that like Warno and Wargame didn't do, where they have a modular weapon and armor system.
Hmm.
So your helicopters, you can load them out specifically how you want.
I wonder if that game has anything to do with the movie Broken Arrow, which was about
Maybe.
the
Shit.
nuclear
Mhm.
B-2 bomber or something. They stole the nuke. I don't know.
Is that from the 90s?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
was a little
yeah.
kid
Uh-huh.
with that.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Back when movies had plots.
Well, wait.
Oh,
Did hang
I
on.
don't know. It wasn't
There's
that good of a movie.
I think there's been one saving grace, maybe since like Avatar, is Dune. Did you see Dune?
Um, no, because all the movie theaters are like,
Shut down?
yeah, like we're not.
Really?
Yeah, like well, they were, and then the one that was close to my house hasn't been reopened. So I was
Oh my
just like,
god.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I missed out on some
bro.
movies.
That
I could have driven to the town over. It's not like I live in the middle of nowhere, but like I said, it's like it's
um
fine.
that seeing that movie in theaters, stoned as well, was the best movie experience I've seen in
It
a
looked
theater.
it, it looked pretty. Um, that's one of those things where it's like some of the movies like that are uh you don't get the same experience
At home.
at home,
Yeah, yeah.
even if you got a baller setup with
Uh-huh.
baller speakers. It's not as good as your speakers at home are not as good as speakers.
Mhm.
Well, some nerds would say they would, but you know what I mean. Like you
Right.
don't have that type of bass in
Right.
your house.
Yep.
So, when you see movies like that, you kind of want to feel it too, when it comes to the sound. Um, but yeah, I haven't been to a movie theater in like 3 years. It's big sad,
Well,
big sad.
we've got Avatar coming.
Bro, it was in it's in the it's like there's a movie theater like 30 minutes for me that has it this week.
What? The
Just
first
this
one?
week. Yeah, the first one
Yeah,
they
yeah,
brought it
yeah,
back,
yeah,
and they but they told no one about it. And I just
yeah.
and I was like, "Bro," because I remember that. It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was loud and colorful, and it was a good
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
And but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it. 'Cause
Yeah.
this is like no one told me.
All right.
It was set a day aside.
Well, the new one's coming. I mean, the new ones, I should say plural, are coming. I'm hoping they pull through as well. I'll be sad if they don't.
I just I just hope that James Cameron still gives a shit. If he still
Yeah,
gives a shit,
yeah,
we'll be all right.
yeah.
Like,
Right.
because he's one of those dudes who like gave a shit for so long and made so many big movies that the fact that didn't they say that they were filming the fourth one already?
Yeah, they
Like I
did.
said,
They did a bunch of them already. Yeah.
yeah, they're doing like the Matrix thing where they're gonna
Mhm.
do like 3 of them in a row and
Right.
shit.
Yeah.
Um, which is cool. I just hope
Yeah.
they mean something.
Yeah.
Hope they have something. You know what I mean? I, yeah, we don't have to talk about modern movies. I'm not a movie snob. I don't got time to be.
Um. There's There's another movie I saw this year. At home, not in theaters. It was an anime. Um. I'm still on an anime kick. We could talk about cyberpunk as well. I'm sure you would probably enjoy that anime, at least from what I've seen. I think it might be up your alley. And it's making a lot of people reinstall the game as well.
Really?
Um, so
I know nothing about I don't I the only anime experience I ever really know of is when they used to show it on cable television in the 90s.
hmm
Like they would play just anime at like 11 o'clock, and it was was actually it was awesome back then too. But I was like, then you see how much anime there is. Like,
Mm.
oh my god, there's I don't know what
Right.
the fuck to
It's very
watch.
oversaturated
There's
now.
so much of
Yeah.
it.
It's kind of finding a diamond in the rough, and then there's certain um you know, if you have a niche interest in certain genres of anime,
Some of
there's
those
only a
anime
few.
artists are amazing though. Like
Absolutely.
you see I see some clips and I'm like, I don't CGI is different than this, but it's like, man, the attention to detail to some of the anime, like especially like when you see like fighting scenes and stuff, they get it
Yeah.
so. Some of them are so well done that you're
Mhm.
just like, bravo,
Right.
bravo.
Right. Um yeah, I mean, they're getting really good. A lot of stuff is good. The anime I was referencing was anime called Bell, was really good. The soundtrack for it was excellent. Basically like a it's almost like an Asian style, like Disney movies, musical-esque style. But I
Huh.
think the plot was more real than some of what Disney's put out over the last few years. There's been a few good ones here and there, but this movie was really good.
That's cool,
All
man.
right, let me see here. Let's get to some more questions from people. Do 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 do. Very detail about art. We discussed that. Joe, will you ever do breakdowns? You want to do a breakdown track? And what are some other artistic choices and mixing techniques that have influenced a song over time? I would love to see a Mechina project file, definitely.
Oh, breakdowns in terms of like discussing like
Like deathcore,
setup.
yeah, like
Oh, that type of
maybe like
breakdown.
chugging, or I mean,
Uh,
I'm not sure if it breakdown. Oh, you know what? I think it's the other. It's not disgusting chuggy breakdowns. I think it's the breakdown of a track, maybe like a master
that's what
class.
that.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I I suppose I could. The one thing that I've been really taking more advantage of and not being as intimidated by is automation.
Yeah.
Um, because automation can kind of just keep going and going and going, and I find that um, by using it in all types of contexts a lot over the last few years has allowed me to use it as a troubleshooting um,
Mm.
in the sense of like I'm running out of CPU power, and instead of me doing X, Y, whatever, I can do an automation that takes no processing, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can kind of work around a certain way, and you know, uh, it's really just it's a game to figure out. Whenever I load up Pro Tools, I look at all the plugins as like a work belt, and everything's a tool that can be used in certain ways. And then I try to separate those from like the art, even though they're like
Mm-hmm.
totally connected to a degree now in a way. For example, I will put an EQ on everything
Yeah.
if I can,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, just in case, you
Right.
know. Um,
I don't need
so
anything under 60.
to put it's this is that's the art part of it. Managing my tracks and staying organized. Everything that I've been working on the last few years in the sense of doing these albums has been quality of life. Um, uh, Procedures. If the process of making the albums being less detrimental to everyone involved,
Sure.
less stressful, um, less painful,
Mm-hmm.
less chaotic. So because the cool thing is when you've got a creative itch that you can't ever fully scratch, you're not. you're not ever bound by having a lack of creativity or inspiration. It's it's sometimes the technicalities that end up stopping you in your tracks. So if you can master some of those technicalities, whether it's yourself or the technicalities of the tools that you're using, you can make the quality of life of, it sounds kind of simple, but you know, where I work, the room of which I write all my music, I have set up in it's peaceful in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that it has to be peaceful in there, and it has to be like, it can't be a mess anymore.
Right.
It just I
Yep.
can't let that go. I can't leave cables on the ground. I can't, leave my last energy drink out. Just it's got to be, my guitars always go back to where, just simple basic shit.
Right.
Because when things get crazy, you have to if you're a mess, you lose it.
Yep.
Um, so it's, every time what I've learned is getting ready for an album is getting prepared correctly, or to the best of my ability, because correctly is, yeah, good luck. But you know what I mean, like doing my best to kind of prepare for the chaos of, let's say, the last month before a release.
Right.
So that's really what I've been focusing on a lot, and it's gotten better.
Good. Yeah. That's good to hear. I totally get it. It's got to be you got to be comfortable in there, and if you're not, then it can be rough.
At every problem, every trial that you were put under in any circumstance of writing art, and even, you could take this personally in life in general, if you don't learn from it, you've kind of wasted the opportunity. So when you fuck up your mix and you run out of time and you release something that's 80% done, like, you better learn from that mistake. And
Yeah.
you could be hard on yourself, but only be hard on yourself with the sense of realizing, like, okay, I'm going to do everything in my power not to and if you can reflect on why that happened, it's even better.
Right.
Like, oh man, that's why I harp on sleep. Half the mistakes, half of them that I've ever done on the last 6 albums were due to me being sleep deprived, for sure, 100%. So I just know now, don't fuck around with trying to be a hero and go 20, your ears will be trashed for days.
Yeah.
You're in front of the studio, your ears will be trashed for days. It's another thing I've learned. It's like, oh shit, I'm gonna record for 2 days straight, and then I gotta mix the day after. It's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
question. How's your hearing? Like,
Hearing is
it's
surprisingly okay. I have tinnitus, but I think everybody gets it
eventually.
eventually. But luckily, I've also learned to record, and I've learned to record at low volume. So
Okay.
when I'm looping a part that I'm trying to write, let's say lyrics or write a guitar part to, I keep it low, because it may go on for, it's not so much volume, it's duration. You
Sure.
can be hearing loss is not just like a gun went off next to your head. It could be you being on top of a train for 12 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Right.
what I mean? So I try to keep everything quiet until I need to start looking for stuff. But I've learned to keep it down, because then you start getting headaches, and then your eyes start hurting, and then you start getting irritated, and then your ears kind of go, get a little pressurized. And that's why it's like, it's the same. It's like, don't get hammered while in the studio. Like, you're not helping.
It is interesting when you do raise the level, some things start poking out that you didn't
Hmm.
hear. It's I noticed that.
And vice versa.
Hmm.
Guys that are used to listening to things loud, you can hear things. Some people, when you're blasting it, you'd be like, man, I can't really hear the strings, for example.
Really?
I can't really hear the
Yeah.
strings.
Yeah.
And then you turn it way down, you're like, oh, they're there. I can hear them now. It's because you're getting, the volume is actually like,
a,
it's
it's a
it's it's not just your ears reacting.
Yeah.
Your brain saying "ouch."
Right.
So it's changing your perception of what you're hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So low volume is, a great way of hearing,
Mm-hmm.
um, especially mistakes. Because when things are loud, things become blurry sometimes. So low
Yeah.
volume, if you're listening for like specific detail, or if you want to make sure something that's supposed to be very low volume is peaking up just enough to be audible or not, you'll only really discover that at low volume, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Mm-hmm. It is
It's weird, and
interesting.
it's
Yeah.
also it's the acoustics of your room, it's your speakers. There's always a lot of things, and your ears are different than my ears.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's a lot involved. So, but
It is
you can
interesting.
work longer at lower volume for sure.
Yes, definitely. Oh, excuse me. And when things hit the master chain, um, it's interesting if something's too loud, how it like if you hit you got your compressor, your tape machine, whatever,
Hmm.
EQ and a clipper and then a limiter at the end or whatever.
Yep.
How things can just get like guitars will just be like
Well,
disappear, and it's like where's the bass? It's like I think this is too loud, and you turn it down, and it's like, oh, everything's good now. It's like it
It's
is.
it's so interesting. The last few things you've brought up, like I know exactly what you mean, and I can also give you the exact opposite. It's like
Mhm.
there's this weird thing in ozone.
Yeah.
It's a stereo imager, and
Yes.
when I put that on the master chain, my guitars are way louder
Hmm.
than
Interesting.
I thought they were when that master chain is on. So it's like it's it's crazy how that happens.
Yeah.
It's the master chain can, you know, um everybody needs to know that, not to sound like a boomer or anything, but back in the day there was recording engineers, mixing engineers, and mastering engineers. Some guys could do more than one. Some guys specialized in them. Mastering alone is its own thing.
Hmm.
And um you know there's different complexities, but our tools have gotten so good that we can kind of get away with
Hmm.
maybe the nuances that the masters or like professional mastering guys would tweak with.
Hmm.
But the tools are, if they're very user friendly, so
Hmm.
to speak.
Indeed.
Very so they help a lot of us normies out.
Right. Um. Indeed. All right. Let me hit up another question here. Um. Let's see. When it comes to releasing multiple versions of an album, for example, someone like Linkin Park will offer instrumental and a cappella versions in one album. Periphery does stem packs and goes into more in depth over the instruments and also plays them a cappella. Uh, Mechina, however, either has the instrumental versions or the stripped down, like core versions, the metal versions,
Right.
with no vocals. Is there a particular reason why there isn't an a cappella version for, I'm assuming, Dell and Mel and Dave?
It's a good question. It would be that's a funny question because it's something that I discovered could be possible um after I was done writing Siege. The process, there was always that album was written with a percussion element underneath the whole song that wasn't the drums.
Sure. Okay.
And this next album, or Venator, was the same way. There was always kind of an underlying rhythm. So those two albums could actually be a cappella if you take all the metal stuff out and
Mm,
leave, everything that's non-band related.
sure.
That is actually something I've considered
Okay.
doing. That just comes down to time. Maybe
Mhm.
that's something I'll do. Um, maybe that's something I could do maybe like next spring.
Okay. Yeah.
I think
Sounds
that would
good.
be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe a few songs, just see what people think.
Right.
We should see.
The That would be the tribal
Yeah,
version.
yeah, just hand
Like,
drums everywhere.
Hull Young version.
Yeah. Oh God, I
Imagine
wish
that. That'd be dope, though.
that would be dope.
Uh,
I could. I could. I definitely could see that working.
right. All right. Let me see here. We somewhat talked about. Well, lore. Sort of talked about lore with Venator. I would like to know what Enyo's plans to pacify the human race had been, and which hits one would need to follow. There is no such thing as Enyo's wanting to make a race of people, all being descendants of her and Amentus, isn't it? I might have read that wrong.
Do the first line real quick because I think I know. What was
Uh,
the first line of that?
I would like to know what Enyo's plans to pacify the human race had been, and which hints one would need to follow.
Okay, so that alone, like, that's not even that's not Enyo's
Goal.
and
Okay.
plan. The conflicts involved in the fictional story have nuances all inside, and it's not black and white. It's not there's and the character Hydrus has taken on a role that sits between what you would in that neutral gray area between the black and white, and you can tell that in some of the lyrics, the character, so uh in terms of lore, the Hydrus character in the fictional story is actually, if you were to look at this visually, like, I would say, quote unquote, on screen in the scene, so to speak, of these songs, the Hydrus character is in Sacrifice Zone and Totemic
Okay.
in
Right.
Venator.
Okay.
And there's lessons to be learned in the sense of the communications between the Hydrus character and what would be Alithia and Amintus. Alithia and Amintus are with Hydrus during those two songs, hence
Right.
the song 2 being Praise Hydrus.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's connections with that, so to speak. The Hydrus has been referenced in the past too.
Mm-hmm.
So
And Hydrus is a physical person, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
It's both a physical. So what's interesting with this story is I'm finding that the let's say the human behind the larger entity, which would be like the giant machine for each one, or the Titan, so to speak, would be that they all have their own e- uh, not in the what we would consider, but maybe this might make sense. They have their own ecosystem
Okay.
in a sense. They all do a certain thing and bring with them certain elements, so to speak. Whenever Hydrus is and with Sacrifice Zone and Totemic, the Hydrus character in between the physical character and the larger Titan scale of this character, there's an element of all between all of these characters, and with her, it's the storm, or you see that on the cover of Venator.
Right.
That hurricane is Hydrus.
Right.
That's an element of that character. The storm that Amintus and Alithia go through is them communicating with Hydrus. So Sacrifice Zone and Totemic, and I would say probably parts of Venator, the song Venator, that's a communication segment between those three characters. And they're all talking amongst themselves in certain areas. And I'm not about to go through and do that, right? You know what I mean? I just want to say, like, that's when it comes to once again, like the question regarding Enyo, it's like that I like that people are thinking about it, but that's not, you know, the conversation with Enyo at the end of Venator is now that we've addressed what the bridge is,
Right.
in that that is a communication between Alithia, Amintus, and Enyo.
Right. Carl.
And I'm going back. Remember that brain fart I had earlier where I was trying to look for that song about
Yeah.
when virtue meets
Yeah,
steel?
yeah.
It's still
There.
hitting me because there's a carryover line where Enyo speaks. They seek a grand feast.
Mm-hmm.
This has to be an Acheron, the album. Hold on. Stand by. Joe's doing Joe
Stand
things on the
by.
internet. Oh my god.
If I could ask a quick question while you look, I don't want to distract you though.
Yeah, go.
Does Enyo think this is the best course of survival? Her motives, does she think that this evolution is what will secure humanity's, or, you know, her version of life is the next evolutionary position for the species?
I don't. I think in the process of Enyo's, because there is a backstory to the Enyo character that I haven't addressed yet.
Okay.
Because there's whole scenes in my head, as weird as it sounds, of when and Dara, the mother of both those characters, are together. Which is weird because it's not, but according to what you would speculate through progenitor, and Dara doesn't make it very long alive after the trip, so to speak. So this would be before the trip.
Before the trip, right.
So Enyo's end game has not been decided, so to speak. And I think in the process of her let's say conquering of the throughout the whole album Siege, it was less about the character's big end goal as much as it was the process of how corruption destroys somebody. It's more or less, you know, because there's parts where where in Siege where Enyo was saying like mother and daughter, like shield your eyes. There's a lot of lyrics in there where Enyo knows what she's doing is violence.
Yeah.
And it's the process that. So I can say the end goal has not been determined so much in my head, but I don't think it's as simple as there's an ultimate plan. It could be as much just a a group of unfortunate circumstances.
Sure.
Because if everyone wants to think that, you know, and this may say a little bit in regards to like my writing process and how I feel about what I like about stories, is how everyone thinks it's supposed to have some greater meaning, and sometimes you die alone in a ditch.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
And um, it's very hard for some people to parse that. And
Sure.
I take um, I find the unfortunate net kind of, I don't want to use words out of place, but kind of like nature doesn't um nature is a weird thing, and we've we all have these grand, when people talk about like the utopias and stuff, and like, did you build a just city, like the jokes, people think like Enyo's trying to build just city. It's like, um sometimes you can't even make it to build a city.
Sure.
It doesn't, not everything is a grand story. A lot of it is uh just like normal life, uneventful
Mm-hmm.
range of circumstances that, so I guess that's, I can rest on that. I assume I hope that made
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
You know
No.
what I mean?
No. It definitely did. It's reading that question it's kind of where maybe I extension of the question. Uh,
So I found the song.
okay, here we go,
All
guys.
right,
Here we
we
go.
multitask here.
Yes,
All right, so
hooray.
so in Act Run, Invictus de Dallas, in the
Mm-hmm.
end of that, um, that song actually ensues that Amyntas and Alithia are together, but
Okay, right.
it, there's a line. Alithia turns back to me and says unto me, "We are the bringer of storms. Prepare to feast upon the sound of Empyrean cries." So the term that was in front of Enyo, and
Mm,
Enyo, as they seek a grand feast. So there's, when I do these when there's, it's got to be more nuanced when with these lyrics. There's a lot of connections all over the place, and I could probably go through them, but I'm not prepared to do that right now.
sure,
Like,
sure.
it's when I get into the writing mode and I start, getting these lyrics down, and I start going through my old songs, and I start connecting dots and stuff like that. I can't explain that. It goes by way too fast,
Mm,
and it seems to work in the end. I kind of get what I've been pretty happy on. Um, the vocals and the lyrics and the atmospheres and stuff like that with the words. Dave and Mel have done an awesome job,
mm.
and so there's a lot of nuance all over the place. People should just, consider that part of the fun, I suppose. You know, I'm it's it's okay to me.
Yeah.
I don't mind, dude. I don't mind. I like when, like, for example, right now with these new songs, man, I know what the album's mostly about, but I don't know which song is gonna go where yet.
Sure, okay.
And by the time I figure that out, all that thought process, unless I write it down, is gonna be almost impossible for me to describe properly without
Sure.
stuttering and trying to, like, ums my way through the whole, you know what I mean?
Right, right.
So, I could leave it at that. That
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think it's fair enough. And it works in your head, but then you try to explain it, and it's like it could be difficult. So I get it.
If you have no storyboard in front, people, you gotta allow the, unless you're overtly, great, very good writers are amazing at describing um literal images, but like in paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs. When we're writing a verse for a song, I mean, unless you've got some stipulations you've got to consider with the medium that you're using. I'm not writing novels here. I
Mm,
can't write novels. I don't. it's a hobby I can't pick up right now. You know,
Right.
so we're just through the medium of music. This is how I feel I can get some lore in connection with hopefully writing songs that don't suck
Right.
that much. Hopefully, is
I
it?
mean,
That's what it. You know, that's what us artists have to say every time.
mm-hmm. Trying to do our best.
You always try to top yourself, but
Yeah.
that becomes kind of weird because it's like, you know, everybody's like, well, not everybody, but I hear you guys. I hear you guys, and I hear you guys up front. Actually, the guys who are like, we want Xenon
We
back. It's
not
like,
see
yeah,
that.
I kind of do too, but I don't know. Like, we'll figure it out.
Right.
Like, if I just did if I did a song that was just like it, people would be like, well, if the songs are good, cool. But you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I think I think like once again, I'm chasing what was already like, you know, the box set taught me that. Just leave it be. You know, I for the guys that want the Xenon, don't worry. There will be some of that. I haven't I'm you'll be fine. You will be fine. You guys will be fine.
Promise.
Yeah, it'll be
Right.
fine.
Um, you talk about lyrics again. I actually I'm having an easier time writing some things now. Who knows if it'll fit, but at least being able to write it down and some phrases and stuff like that, who knows where it'll go. And you can,
Yep.
initiate callbacks and stuff like that.
Hmm.
That's kind of, a powerful tool, I guess, in this realm, in this style of music and whatnot.
Lyrics and vocals are hard, my dude. It's one of the reasons
Uh-huh.
why I don't sing. I just I can write lyrics, but I can't I that's another thing I haven't done in a very long time.
Mm.
So being able to write is it's a perishable skill. You know, it's one of the reasons why I like doing albums every year as much as I get like weird whiplash deja vu where I'm
Yeah.
like, like it's fall again. Here I am, you know, like just the same thing,
Right.
but it's like exciting, you
Mm.
know, because then I get to create a bunch.
Right.
So as long as you keep that, you'll be good.
I hear you. All right, we got another one here. In 2016, in an interview, he's paraphrasing here. The criticism of Acheron and Progenitor was the same album. Don't understand what we're going for. Let me see if I can read this again. That the criticism that Acheron and Progenitor was the same album. Didn't understand what you were going for, given the cadence you kept and how the songs were meant to blend together, such as the Compendium, which was going to mix all the albums into one big song. Now that you've branched out with some of the albums that are stylistically different, people are complaining that new Mechina is not like old Mechina. You kind of talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
Your feelings upon that. We kind of touched that.
Yeah,
I would say.
I can summarize real quick. It's cool, dude.
Yeah.
I get it. Like I know.
Mhm.
Like it's there's a lot of people that, you know, that, and it's weird because it happens a lot with, you know, everybody likes their era of a certain band.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, and especially if, you know, you'd be amazed on what a person goes through in their personal lives while they're listening to a certain album that just makes them like that album, because not because it's particularly their style, but because it was connected with something going on in their life.
Right. Yeah.
That's how nuanced this game is. And I don't blame anyone for thinking like the stuff I'm writing today is obviously not going to sound like the stuff I wrote 14 years ago. And it's do we ask anybody, do you think the same way you did 10 years ago?
We had that
No.
conversation. No.
You know,
No.
you don't. I'm not going to write the same album. If I wrote the same album over and over, I would have been 150 people would be like, "Yay, cool," and everyone would have been like, "It's the same album.
Same album, yeah.
It's the same album." And I don't mind. I don't mind tripping up the purists because I don't care. Like they don't get to tell me what's right. And that's something that comes with like some time, because that's one of the things that I've had to kind of learn to accept, because I've taken everyone's criticism to heart, and I still do. I still listen, but it doesn't affect me the same
Sure.
as it used to.
Mhm.
The things back in 2016, 17, 18, you would have asked me about the criticism, I would have probably been way more spicy or a little bit more snappy about it.
Spicy.
I probably would have, but at this point, it's like I empathize with the fans that are like, "You're changing," and I'm like, I know you're. The one thing that I've realized as the fans saying, "You guys," it's like somebody saying, "You're changing too much."
You've
Like,
changed.
you've
Yeah.
changed.
Yes.
And and the one thing is, like, in the past, that was always something that made me be like, "What do you mean? Like, why is that sound like a misconception?" And now
Right.
I've grown to know, like, that's a compliment and they don't even know it.
Right.
So it doesn't bother me. It's like, thank
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
I wasn't planning on staying the same.
Yeah.
So if I'm messing with your vibe, bro, go listen to the old stuff. It's cool.
Yeah.
Don't take it so personally, because guess what? I don't anymore.
Right.
And I put in too much work to be getting yelled at by somebody who didn't, like, it's not worth it. It's not worth the time. It's not worth the drama. It's one of the reasons why I kind of got off the internet. It's like, it's cool, guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm just hanging out. So I empathize with those people and I agree with them. I'm not gonna fight them on that because they have a point, but so do I.
Sure.
So we'll just call it even. It's cool.
Agree to
I'm
disagree.
Yeah, I'm gonna write what I'm gonna write,
Yeah.
and I hope you guys like it. And
Mhm.
if you don't, congratulations. There is so much music out there
Yeah.
to listen to. You will find what you're looking for somewhere. Keep looking. Then it's great. I'm glad you stopped by. It's like, if I'm just, the one thing is, like, this band is almost 20 years old.
Yeah. Right.
And
Right.
I'm 36. So, I was a little teenager when I started this with Dave, and you know, it doesn't I'm amazed that people actually give a shit.
Yeah. Right.
Like, I that's the one thing. That's why I'm kind of getting a little stuttery here. Is like, it's hard to explain the fact that um people even care,
Yeah.
and the you know the fact that tens of thousands of people care says
Mhm.
a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm I'm just I'm just way more humble to the fact that, like, I'm not going to get mad at people if they're just like, if they, you know it used to hurt a lot when they're like, the song's trash. I saw a review recently when I was just seeing if anything was uploaded. It was like, someone was like, you should stop making music. And I was just like, man, that's so funny. I was like, someone told me to just stop making
Just
music.
stop.
I was like, what if like, years ago, I would have sat there and just been like, man, I fucking, dude, stop making music. And I'm just like, who cares? Like, who cares? I'm like, he probably didn't even. I don't know if he bought the album. He could have just
Sure.
listened to it on YouTube. Like,
Sure.
I can't get into it. It's life's too short. So I hope everybody likes what we're making.
Mhm.
And yeah, the albums they're gonna change, just like I'm changing, like you're changing. Everybody's changing every
Right.
month, every day, every second. Technically, you know, it's we're not in a vacuum. We're going to things are going to evolve, and we'll see. The fact you just it's the reason I stopped is I didn't want to sound like a threat, but it's like people quit all the time,
Sure.
and I'm not going to let other people convince me to do that. Because you know what I mean, like this is too much. This is too much fun for me, and enough people are kind of got my back and are excited about each release that I'm like, what, let's all have a party together. Let's see what kind of crazy shit we can release this year.
Right.
And it's all become kind of like a little group of everyone's kind of cheering each other on, and like we like it, and that's in this world we should just take the few wins that we have. And I consider the fact that the band still exists a win, considering the logistical nightmare the band's been for since its inception. So all is good. All is good.
Hell yeah. A lot of good points there. A lot of good points. It's not good to stick to one thing.
There's too many nice things being like for every one and I've said this before, for every one crazy angry post or whatever, like whatever, there's a dozen other ones where they're like thumbs up, and then like, hey, thumbs up back, appreciate it, thanks man. It's I can't you got to look at the good too.
Right.
People get too hung up on the negative, and it's killing them, and
Indeed.
we all know it.
It's not helping.
It's not helping.
This is another question from the same fella. You mentioned you'd like, I'm going to butcher this name, Ludovico, which surprised me. What have you been listening to lately? Have you been listening to anything lately? No, we mentioned, not crazy, super duper into music all the time, but there's anything catching your eye this year?
No. Catching my eye, no. So it's so weird because it's like whenever I'm sitting down to put music on, I'm working on my demos. I don't want to sound like I'm self-absorbed. I'm just like, I only listen to myself. No, it's like I'm so burnt out by writing an album. I need some quiet for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I immediately start writing music again. And then I have to check my work every week until the album's done. So it's like I hope people understand what that just changes my logistics for leisurely music listening.
Right.
It's like I'd rather leisurely check my edits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I got a lot of them, so it's like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. 100%. All right. I think that's kind of it for our questions. For the Discord and Facebook, there's some
we hit on a lot, man.
Yeah, kind of some repetitive, well, not repetitive, but repeat questions. There's a new meme. Did you see the meme on the Facebook?
No, no.
Hang on.
I have my phone down. I'll check it. Don't worry.
All right. That's funny. It's from this combo. That's funny.
I think I think one thing I just want to reaffirm with everybody is like the lore stuff. I hope a little bit of the discussion that we kind of narrowed out together, Mike, is like give some kind of bigger picture of how the translation between my brain, these songs, and you are.
Right.
So to speak. This isn't a straight line, and I haven't figured out how to do that yet, and it's very hard to do with just audio. So
yeah.
I hope everyone's just having a good time hanging out.
Yeah. Somebody asked, is it pronounced GIF or GIF?
I've always said I have always said GIF.
Yeah, I say GIF as well.
I was, and yeah, I mean, I was born in '86. I grew up before the internet. When it came out, we all said GIF. No one said GIF because that was a peanut butter. And
You're right. Yeah, GIF the peanut butter.
So it was. If the guy who invented it came out and said it was Jeff, well, he didn't tell everyone when it came out, so everyone could just not worry about it. We all, it's cool.
Sad in chat. Someone's sad.
Sad face in chat.
Oh, fuck. But yeah, I mean, in terms of peanut butter jelly time, God. Boo. Someone said peanut butter jelly time.
Some people would not shut the fuck up with that thing when it came out.
How old is that?
I think I was in high school when that came out. So
08? 08?
There's no way. There's no way it was 08.
No, okay. probably earlier because I was in high school.
When did peanut butter jelly song come out? They said 2015. That's bullshit.
What? No way.
There's no way.
I was out of high school. Shit.
2004.
Oh, holy shit.
I was a senior in high school.
Wow.
Yep, it was. And because I remember everybody yelling that in school. It was really annoying.
Cringe down the hallway. Butter jelly time.
Well, at least now we know why everything's so messed up right now. Is because that those people are now starting to run the show.
Running the show. This is why our games aren't good.
That is exactly that's exactly right.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Shit. We want to touch on anything else? Go the ancient history route if you. Well, doesn't matter.
Oh, we have gone for.
I got just under 3 hours.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, the usual
ancient history. Oh,
that's another 3-hour conversation, most likely.
We should do we should do another one after the first for sure.
All right. Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
First. All right, we can do. Of January, of course, right?
Yeah.
All right. Afterwards. Sounds good.
Yeah, because there's a I'm out of information in the sense of what's coming up. You know, I'm in full just like I'm in like a whirlwind. If I'm in a whirlwind of color and stuff. I have no idea I've got demos. I've got songs figured out. But it's too soon for me to. There's nothing else for me to really say. My demos are still trash, and they need to not be trash. And soon, hopefully, they won't be trash. But I'm in that phase of making them presentable,
right,
in a sense. So, till then, man, I'm just gonna write out the winner again.
Right. Well, we'll be here. We'll be here, supportive.
I appreciate it, man. As always.
Bree wants to say hello and goodbye.
Okay.
Hang on.
Bree.
Hang on. It won't be bad. It won't be too bad.
Hello.
Hello, Bree.
Hi.
Congratulations. I know you two are getting married.
Yes, we are. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I had to pop in. I was like, if I invite.
Well, I hope you guys are doing well, and yeah, man, we'll keep in the loop. I'll be around. It'll be all quiet on the front for a few more months, but we'll be releasing stuff eventually, but in typical fashion.
Yes. Follow the cycles and the patterns.
Yeah,
everybody.
We just I'd rather it it's don't worry about me. I'm good, man. It's late. Right. I lost that one. Yeah, dude. We'll talk more.
All right, yeah.
I promise.
All right.
All right, man.
All right. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. This will be up on YouTube probably a few days. I might even not. I might just send it up and not really do any edits or anything. And yeah. So
Cool.
Thank you, Joe.
I appreciate it.
Always a good time.
Yes, sir.
We will be. We'll talk again after the 1st. And yeah, thanks everybody.
All right.
Have a
Goodbye,
good
everyone.
one.